Hey everyone, this is Random Thought. I'll go live for a minute. Wait for some people to come in here. I figured it would be a good time to talk about the watch case and maybe see if we could figure out the new gossip and what's going on. Hey guys, how are you guys doing? Sorry, this is Random. Thanks for coming in. Just thought talk a little bit about the watch case and see what you guys think about it and what's going on. Um, uh, Tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, J4J, she is going live and going to give her side of the story of what happened in Denver. So if you guys want to check that out, again, that will be 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you guys want to check it out or not. Uh, Kind of one thing, again, like I want to remind what mainly what I advocate for is due process, regardless of the horrible, horrendous crime the person that's accused of doing, but make sure they have equal rights and, treated fairly while they're going through the judicial system. Hey, Bumblebee, how are you? Hey, Ian, hey, Mom, how's everyone? But again, I was kind of earlier listening to some other content with the Watts and the phone conversation that we have, and kind of remind me of a conversation I had with my mom yesterday. And just by hearing Cindy Watts or CW and how much she really loves her son, and not to, I know the Ruziks, they love Shanann just as much, and both sides of the family love those grandbabies. And it's hard, but not able to observe or hear the phone calls from SW and SR, but listening to CW and her conversation, well, Cindy with CW, and you know they're truly hurting. They're still sincerely trying to figure out what's going on. I know it should be pretty simple. CW, killed his whole entire family, annihilated them, and case closed. But it's not that simple, as I'm sure some of you guys can see. And the Watch, they really, want more answers. I don't know how the Rusex, if they're done and satisfied, or if there's stuff that they want to know too. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Brooke. All right, Rachel. Well, I'll let you listen, and I'll just keep on chit chatting here. But again, some things that I guess we take for granted is our parents' love for us, or sometimes if you are a parent and you have younger ones, they don't understand, how much you truly love them and what you would do for them. And again, I just kind of want to make that as a reminder is um, what we're still trying to find out and hoping once that 35C is filed, the truth will come out. That we have to understand, CW is still alive, and I know a lot of people are getting say in the comments how awful or terrible he should be dead or blah blah, but he still has family too. There's people that still love him just as much as SW had, her own family love her and all. I'm gonna drop the link here if you guys want to come up and talk. You're more than welcome to. Let me. But sometimes we take for granted is like how it's so simple sometimes to pick up the phone and make a call and tell a loved one that you love them and what they mean to you. Again, most of you know that about a month ago my father passed away. And those of you that went through this can understand, if you talk to someone on a daily basis and they're gone, it's kind of hard to, you can't exactly call them up and ask for advice or talk to them. A little bit more difficult than that. And listening to Cindy's voice, it's heartbreaking that all she wants is the truth and to get some help. And that's perfectly reasonable and understand. Most of us still feel like there's pieces missing on whatever point of view that you have with it. But I'm truly convinced, regardless of Chris and what happened August 13th, that he still has family. They still love him. He's still here with us and should have just about any right when available to him to speak to his family. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of people are going to say, um, um, you know, uh, Chris supporter, yada yada. No, I just want answers like you guys do. And I feel like there's still some stuff, missing, whatever theories you want to go with or not. Again, myself, I was incarcerated, and I it was difficult once, especially if you're locked down 23 hours, only get out for 1 hour. Sometimes I only got out for like 15 minutes, just enough to shower. I agree, Brooke. It's not right. People are cruel, but they're truly victims too. Those were their grandbabies just as much as the Rustics. And I don't know if you ever had a family or loved one that's been incarcerated before. It sometimes it gets very difficult for the person. Well, both sides. Hey, Veronica. Whether if you're on, incarcerated or you're trying to see the loved one that is incarcerated, and the judicial system, they make it very costly and expensive for families and friends to reach out. It's like they're being punished too by the Department of Corrections, and like how much it is for food and everything. It's insane. You can go to Walmart, buy a package of ramen noodles for 10 cents, but yet when you're incarcerated and you want like a ramen noodles, it's near like $1 to $2. It's just crazy on how much loved ones spend on their family just to make sure they're safe and content too. Um, I definitely agree with, if the accused they're found convicted, they need to do the time for the crime. But if they're not, then we need to get them out and somehow figure a way for these checks and balances. As you know, there's been a lot of people that, you know, that were accused but were innocent. And, that's kind of what I want to fight for, is those that gave a wrong confession or innocent to have a voice. I'm glad we have like the Innocence Project, and I guess we'll see a little bit more with Lana's fightforfamily.com when it comes or not. We'll never understand everyone's shoes or being in them or not, but we can empathize and try to get a better understanding of what they may be going through. And that being incarcerated, it's difficult emotionally, physically, especially if you're in the hole where you're just by yourself and hardly have any reading material. No, that's not healthy. That does a lot of damage to you mentally and breaks you down. I don't know how they don't say that's cruel and unusual punishment. I understand people act out and sometimes they don't have an answer. But again, if they're able to, and this is just my opinion, rehabilitation. Myself, I received a DUI. Part of my plea deal was I had to do a year. I could do 6 months, and then after 6 months, I could go to rehab and get help. Well, I was lucky enough to have my family, so I didn't have to do the whole year there. That I was able to go to a rehab center and get help. And I think I in April I'll be going sober for 4 years. Hey, hi, happy go lucky. People, they can change. It takes a lot of work. I'm sure even CW right now, he's grown emotionally in so many ways we probably don't know or understand. It sounds like he's trying to help other people in there, and that's great. If we're Christians, let's be the best Christians that we can. Again, we're all gonna make mistake and sin or do something wrong, but as long as we able to forgive ourselves and keep moving forward. Thank you, Brooke. So, you know, I know a lot of people are afraid that Chris is trying to get out by this 35C. That's not true. I They might get a reduction in his sentence. I don't know. Maybe he would be able to have a new trial. We don't know till he does the paperwork. But we need, instead of locking people up, throwing the key away, forgetting about them till whenever time it's time for them to go. But you know, invest in like getting like rehabilitation, education, help getting people set up when they're about ready to be released, and so they don't offend again. You hear about a guy gets out of jail within a couple hours or however long, he's right back where he was. I think that should be the goal of the Department of Corrections, is trying to rehabilitate people on so they don't make the same mistake. Sorry guys, lost my train of thought. And I even with Chris, even though he may be have 5 life sentences, he can still do some good. He might be able to help someone to a certain degree, as like you guys can or I can. Um, the Ruseks, they could help people too by their grief and going around and inspire what they felt and how they changed and helped them. Even with Cindy and Ronnie, they could go somewhere and speak and help people the best they can. Hey, Daffodils, how are you? But you know, our lives have meaning. His life still has a meaning. Yeah, what happened again? It's horrendous. But hey, we have a chance here again with the 35C to find out what happens. All of us are important. CW's important. Bella, Cece, Nico, they're important. Shanann, she was important too. As a true crime community, we should try to help and figure out to help people that are incarcerated and once they get free to be successful in their lives. It's kind of frustrating on you know seeing people keep coming back and because they never had the chance to be set up or to have intensive therapy what they need to help them. And to a certain degree, I believe that's somewhat happening to Chris at the moment. We know that he's very religious and knows the Bible in and out, but emotionally, we need to talk about our feelings and what's going on, um, especially for males where they have the highest suicide rate. We're taught to, keep it in and not say anything. Again, going back to my theory on CW, he snapped and annihilated his whole family. It's okay to show other emotions, to laugh, to cry. It's very therapeutic and helping. But we need to do it in a healthy way. Again, I think, there's more to the details on what CW did. Again, there's, theories out there that he didn't have nothing to do with this. He was framed and set up. People have their opinion on that too. If you guys like to come up and talk or not, I'd love for you to come and chat. But how can we help people as a society? I would say maybe one thing, like all of us, we can start by trying to make ourselves better. Well, and then I'd like for that information to come out, Bumblebee. I think we're entitled to that, and the Watts are entitled to that. We don't know the truth exactly what happened. That's the frustrating part. And we got so many different stories. It's frustrating for everybody, but maybe once the 35C is correct, once we have an actual facts, and we'll have a better idea. It's a very good possibility that he could be innocent. But again, we won't know till he feels like he's ready to tell the truth. And I one thing I do believe, we're accountable for our actions and what we do. Lately, for me, with the judicial system, my DUI happened in 2016. The case closed in 2018, but yet I'm still, in a way, dealing with it. It's frustrating, but I myself have to understand and recognize that I made a poor choice, and I shouldn't have done that. Yes, Bumblebee. I'm glad Chris has the best lawyers too, and I'm excited for him. I'm happy that they'll file a 35C here. I think that'll be great. Daffodils. Sorry for what? Oh, my boo boo. I made poor choice on. That's all right. I'm learning from it. It's teaching me patience. That's for sure. But what do you guys think on August 13th? Do you think, how about we do this? Hit a one if you think Nicole NK had something to do with it, or two if she didn't. I have three top theories, but I can't settle on one. Would you like to share any of those, Brooke? I mean, if you want to come in, or Bumblebee, sorry, you're more, or wait, it is Brooke, sorry. If you want to call in, you're more than welcome to, or type them out. Everyone's opinions is welcome and will be heard. Uh, do you think Seed NK, again, one, if you feel like she helped, or two, if she wasn't there, or three, if undecided? Kissinger, Daffodils, the mistress. So far, two's in the lead. Well, I I would say this with NK. She definitely influenced him emotionally. I don't know, Bumblebee. Why? Maybe he's just trying to protect himself or his family or something. But hopefully, again, once the 35C, maybe we'll have a clear picture of what happened. Yes, yeah, definitely me too, Rachel. I brought this up before, but I'll do it again. Is with the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case and how they found those two kids. Is they were able to go off the GPS like within 3 meters or 3 feet or something to find the bodies. I believe too when they downloaded all in-case stuff, they would have been able to see actually if she was there or not with the technology. So I guess for me, I don't think she was there physically, or they would have seen it definitely, because our phones is electronic. We can follow us everywhere, and I think that's great, Rachel and Daffodil, that you want more information on it besides choosing. That's great, keeping an open mind and being subjective to the case. And that's what I love about true crime, is hearing different theories and then forming a conclusion on my own. In case of Inga, because some people swear she was clear, others are pouncing on her. I would say um, maybe 90% of the true crime with the Watts, that Inke wasn't involved physically. She was there that night. Just from, it seems like, majority of people are talking about. So, but again, it's possible they could be right with that too, or they could be extremely wrong. Again, this case, it's got so many turns into it, we don't know which way to turn. But I would say maybe emotionally she influenced him. Maybe when they were at um, the dead dog, maybe she gave him an ultimatum, either take care of this or we won't be able to be together or not, or breaking up. Rachel, you're a hippie, huh? Awesome. But what if NA was at the house early and because of the LE cleared her? I don't know. NA could be involved to a certain degree as going off the Life 360 app. It's very possible. I mean, what Lana and some other people saying, is true. She probably could be there because if you want to look on her second interview, she was terrified to go in and speak to the police, thought she was going to be arrested or not. Or I don't know, maybe they might have gave her immunity to testify or not if it came time down for that. Um, that could be possible, I would say. Maybe if she testified, she would have gotten immunity if she was there when it actually happened. I mean, with the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case, Alex Cox's wife or widower, she, I, I gave immunity. She has immunity to testify. So, she was at the house at 12:10 and the Life 360 and right at 12:20. Yeah, and I think we need more information on that too. Like with Inkay, we need a better, clear picture. It's horrible how there's so much stuff redacted. And it scares. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind tonight. The electronic system, uh, Vantage. There could have been several people there. You know, yeah. No, I agree with you, and I believe too. There's other footage around that neighborhood that would have some type of sights on the house. Thank you, Daffodil. Vivian. Sorry, guys. I've been up since 5:30 and did a lot of driving today. Went from Fort Lauderdale up to Orlando to drop off some beauty products, up to Jacksonville and drop some stuff off and back. So mentally, I'm probably a little brain dead. So I apologize about that. It's very possible maybe both Nicoles were there. I wouldn't take that out. I mean, obviously, one had a ping and the other one's 360 app was showing that they were there. Thank you, Daffodil. Again, if any of you guys like to come up, you're more than welcome to. Oh, also tomorrow, if you guys want to check it out or not, definitely we're going to talk about the Watts case. But there's a new docu-series that came out on Netflix called Murder Among Mormons. And I figured that would be a fun case to talk about too. Oh, yeah, happy go lucky, right? I was. So I love Florida. It's so beautiful here when it's not raining. But yeah, if you haven't had a chance to come to Florida, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful state. lots of things to do and amazing people that live here. That's for sure. Oh, okay, good girl. But yeah, what I plan on doing is I'm gonna show an older documentary on it so people can watch it and get the information, and then we could just talk more about it. It's a very interesting case, and the person that got convicted and what he did was pretty sneaky. Oh, and the humidity, for sure. Do you guys think Chris put tape over the doorbell cam, or the cops recorded and just haven't released the footage? Or what do you guys think on that? Do you think CW or somebody else put like tape on the doorbell, or too far out of the angle where it couldn't see or not? Just curious. So I guess we're coming to a conclusion here after discussing that there was definitely a Nicole at the house. So we got that right, and people should agree on that. But on what Nicole, we don't really know exactly. If we have more information from the Vivian and more cell phone data. Again, I don't believe in the pings be sufficient. I mean, she could have been driving by. She could have went somewhere else and made a phone call or not. But again, what I was stating earlier, to me, it would be, unless they just uh, blew it off anyways, is, her GPS. Again, like with the Doomsday couple, those poor kids, they were able to go off coordinates from Alex Cox's phone to find the bodies and to dig them up. Good girl. I think it's a very good possibility of drugs being in there. Well, we know Chris was getting lack of sleep, and when he would be talking to Inke, he would pass out in the middle of their conversation. SW's phone was stormed at till 8:10, and then Chris was at work. Yeah, no, that's true, Bumblebee. Again, I haven't read the discovery. I'm just going off what videos and what other content creators have said. So I'm, kind of in the blue with a lot of the major details. Maybe I should read the discovery. Might be happy, huh? Sam, you rang the doorbell, or the ring at the school at 8:30, and they rang at 9. Yeah, that's very true, Bumblebee. Yeah, Lana presented that information. That's definitely true, and it's in the discovery. Oh, again, if you guys, J, J for Justice, she's going live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. She's gonna give her side of what she's accused of. It should be very interesting tonight if you guys want to go to that in a couple of hours. But you, I, do you think do you think this maybe had something to do with North Carolina and SW's past and finally caught up to her? Good question, Rachel. Yes, yep, you're definitely right, Bumblebee. I wish we had information on the first call that NA did. That would be interesting to hear that. Again, I'm dropping the link if one of you guys like to come up and give your point of view or talk about the case. You're more than welcome to. Interesting book. That's pretty cool. Cassie was the only one to text SW along with Chris and Sandy, nor Frank Ring at all. I recommend watching it if you haven't. They say some interesting stuff. Yeah, if I remember, I'm a guy and we get distracted pretty easily. I will definitely try to watch it. No doubt about it. But do you guys think this had something to do with S. Shenan's past by chance? And it just caught up? Okay, so let's go with let's go with Bumblebee's theory right at the moment. So let's say Chris was set up. He was at work, someone came in, search Shanann, bada bing, bada boom. So let's go with that. Is that okay, Bumblebee, if we go with NA? So, you know, again, it's very possible with where there's a theory out there that SW, she couldn't be alone with the kids and that there was child protective services. And that's why, she always had to have somebody around or had to take the kids to daycare. I don't know if this is true or not. It's just a theory that someone has talked about on their on a different channel. But let's just say SW, she couldn't be alone with the girls and always had to have somebody with her and the baby girls. If not, that's why she took them to the daycare, because she couldn't be alone with them legally. Again, there's many different theories. So if NA had to be around SW to help with the kids and everything. Hey, Melissa, Jade, how are you? So if NA was helping SW with the kids where she couldn't be alone that night, who do you think would have came in then and took Shanann and the kids? Do you think it's one of Shanann's friends or someone that NA knew? Who do you think actually committed the murder if it wasn't Chris? Could it be an associate um, of SN? Or do you think Chris, was blackmailed if he would have said something or not? What's your guys' theory? Do you think someone completely CW didn't know until when he came home, or what was going on? What do you guys think? Who would commit this crime if it wasn't CW? Dan will drop the link if someone likes to come up and give your opinion or not, or you're more than welcome to chat too. But okay, if NA was there and Shanann could not be alone with those babies, and Chris was out working, didn't commit the murder, who would have abducted Shanann and the two girls and killed them? Well, look at Sandy's saying in the Tuesday about finding the girls in oil. That's the last thing. Oh, no, that's very true. That's a valid point there. Hey, thanks for stopping in, partners in crime. Good to see you. So you think the Rizix or Sandy especially was tired of SW and wanted them to be gone? But why would, the two little babies, they're innocent SW, I can understand, having issues and something like that happening, but why involve the two little girls? Were they witnesses and they're afraid they would talk or not, or why? So, so do you think um, Sandy paid a bunch of money to commit it or to hire a hitman? Ah, this is interesting. So definitely, we believe Sandy's part of the theory here, and you got NA. Do you think there's any males involved, or do you think it was all females that did the crime? Yeah, no, you're right. Daffodil's definitely hiding something. The Rusiks have been pretty quiet lately for a little bit. You haven't really heard them uh, speaking social media and stuff. Okay, Sebastian, going with the first confession. All right, very cool. So again, SW couldn't be alone. Um, she had to have somebody around here. That's why Nicole was around so much. Uh, Sandy wasn't getting along with SW. SW was going nuts or didn't like something going on. So she killed the two little babies, and then someone killed SW. Okay, so all right, so sorry guys, I'm outside. So Shanann killed the two little girls. Uh, CW was at work, and Sandy is tied to it, but she was in North Carolina. Do you think it was a close family friend, or do you think SW just committed suicide because of what she did? I don't know if you guys ever thought about that or something. So SW takes out the two girls, and then she's like, do you think from guilt that she committed suicide? Or obviously other people were involved? I think other people would be involved instead of her committing suicide. I guess that doesn't make sense, but that's why true crime's so awesome, and where we can talk about things and try to figure it out. This is great, talking and brainstorming. Why don't people just tell the truth? Amen, Miss Marple. I agree. It definitely would make life a lot easier. Maybe we would stop talking about it as much. Sandy even lied about the dream to cover why she ran the school. Interesting. Oh, oh, interesting, Daphne. So, do you think the Larry the politician was onto something with corruptions and higher people being involved? Again, get drop the link here if you'd like to come up. So with the 35C, do you think this is actually going to come out who did this horrendous crime if it wasn't CW? You think CW's finally gets tired of being incarcerated and give the truth? I mean, this is why I love talking about this case. There's so many different theories and ideas to it. And I think gradually we're getting bits of the truth, but it's a pretty big puzzle trying to put everything together. I do, but I think it's even bigger than what, Larry? Oh, do you think like the federal government could be involved, Rachel? Yeah, I'm outside Daffodil, sorry. But why would they pick the Watts for this horrendous crime? Oh, it's interesting. Gotta go on a tangent here. My boss, he's Italian, and he grew up in Buffalo, New York, and has ties to the mafia, different mafia families. But one of them, I guess, lived in Boston, and Whitey Bulger framed one of the guys that he knows for murder. And finally took about 30 years to get him free. But the federal government actually knew this guy didn't commit it, but they still had him convicted. What do you think, Melissa? Does that sound about right? I think there's something very fishy with the way the trial went down. I appreciate what Larry brings to the discussion. Awesome, Marple. Yeah, no, it's very true. He definitely has a different outlook on it, and it does sound pretty reasonable for sure. But again, like Whitey Bulger, being a rat for the FBI, setting up these other people, and he's still committing crimes and getting away with it. That's, that's pretty interesting and horrible at the same time. So, you think the state of Colorado or the federal government set Chris up? If it's bigger than Will County, or do you think this is Will County? See, Bumblebee, the CPS thing is interesting as well. Yeah, I wish there was. I think there is kind of some information, like if you go to Reddit or something, about two little girls and what their age. Rachel, are you leaving, or Happy Go Lucky, you're leaving? This is real life. Who done it? Which is why it has captured the attentions of many. Yes, it has, and again, that's why I think it's important to be objective and not to get tunnel vision, but to look at what evidence and facts that we have to understand this case so much more. But do you think NA went home real quick to change and shower, and that's probably when SW took out the two little girls? And then someone went to the rage and took her out? Oh, yeah, no, yeah, especially Joe Benet. Yeah, someone in that household killed her, that's for sure. I agree with you guys there. Well, Daffodil, again, cool thing about true crime, listen to other people, hear out different facts, weigh them out, and come to a conclusion on what you think happened. That's what's the important thing. And again, no one's opinion, it's wrong. We're trying to understand the case, go through the evidence and the facts, and come to a conclusion on what happened that night. Again, some people believe NK was there, or CW did by himself, or he didn't do that at all. These are reasonable opinions to have, and then to figure out who did or not. Daffodil, nice. True, good girl. Something definitely stinky. But again, I'm gonna drop the link if someone would like to come up. So, let's say with Shanann, one that she killed the kids, two she didn't. That should be interesting. Personally, I one SW killed the kids, two that she didn't. Again, this is kind of where I get hang up that there could have been someone else involved or not. Hey, welcome to the panel. Hello, Mr. Uneducated. Are you there? Can you hear me? Are you what on earth? Hello? Yep, that's me. It's wrong button. Oh, okay. Guess he's not. All right, Mr. Uneducated, you're welcome to come back up or not. I'm not sure what happened. That was kind of weird. No, it's just me. He left. All right. So, again, real quick, one, Shanann killed the girls, or two, that she didn't. Good grief, Miss Marple. 30-30 on everything, huh? Yeah, again, I'll drop the link here. 1.5. Melissa, you're getting tricky there. Getting really technical. Or let's say three undecided. If you don't, one, SW killed the girls. Two, she didn't. Three, if undecided. Always like kind of doing polls and see what people think. Hey, Brenda, how are you? Guess what, Brenda? Guess what? I am not in Florida. I left forever. Again, the link if someone would like to come on. Brenda, we're talking about Shanann and her possibly killing the kids. So, again, one, Shanann killed the little girls. Two, she didn't. Three, if you're undecided. Oh, I will, Brenda. Maybe for good. No, I'm just kidding with you. I'm still here in the area. I'm very tired though. Went up to Orlando and did some work, and Jacksonville did some work, and drove back to Broward County all today. So it was a long day. Uh, okay, yeah. Maybe let's keep going with. I think most people agree about the first confession and that SW killed the girls. Thanks, Brenda. Appreciate it. Now the question is, if she took out the two little girls, who took Shanann out? If Chris was at work, do you guys think it could have been like a hitman from Sandy Ruzick, or And yeah, no, it definitely could have been set up. But my question is, if SW took out the two little girls and CW was at work, who took SW and them out? Again, here's the link. I think that would be interesting. Who you guys think would have taken SW out? No, that's very true. Again, that's kind of with my theory, and what I believe is CW was in a hard relationship, but things built up, didn't talk. That night, August 13th, they were having a conversation, and he snapped and took SW out. Or could have been true if SW took out the two girls and then CW, took them out and buried them and everything. Again, there's some people who believe that he's completely innocent and had nothing to do with it. Yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. Who would have taken the kids out? Yeah, you think that would be the wise and correct thing to do is just call the police after what happened instead of trying to hide. Ooh, that's very interesting. Sebastian, wow, I would have never thought of that. What do you guys think of that question? I just don't think CW could do it all himself. There was something so compelling about his first confession, though. Uh, okay, how about this? Do you guys think it was premeditated? Like he thought about this for a while and got everything set up, or do you think it was just in the moment of passion? I like where you're going with this, Sebastian. That's very cool. Again, get drop the link if someone would like to call in. You're more than welcome to. All right. Hey, Mr. Uneducated, how are you? Uh, can you guys see him? I don't know if he's still there or not. Hello, Mr. Uneducated. Yeah, I'm not seeing him on here either. This is weird. Should be able to see him. Mr. Uneducated. Can you guys hear him now? Maybe. Mr. Uneducated, you're on mute, maybe. Yeah. Let's try it one more time. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm gonna maybe if you leave and come back in, but I don't know why it's not working. Hello? What on earth? Hey, Mr. Uneducated, you there? Looks like you're on the board here. Uh, is your I don't think your mic's muted. Are you just wanting to listen this way, or do you have something you want to say? Yeah, I can't hear him either. Hey, I'm just gonna remove you temporarily. Try to come back in again. You're more than welcome to. I don't know if you're just listening or not hearing. So, all right, guys. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why he's not talking. Kind of weird. But again, I'll drop the link, and you guys are more than welcome to come up here and give your opinion. Let me. I'm gonna try to see if I can go somewhere else or block them in here. It's probably annoying. Again, there's the link. Uh, Again, love to hear your guys' opinion. Hello. No. Hey, Mr. Undereducated. Can you hear us? Uh, Mr. Uneducated. I know you can hear us. Why are you doing this? Yeah, I'm getting ghosted bad. All right. Sorry, buddy, but you're done. I'm not going to say nothing. All right. Sorry, guys. Anyway, what? So, does anyone have some new information about the Watts case? I haven't really been following this week. Anything new going on besides I know J4J, she's going to go live on her channel tonight at 10 Eastern Time and to give her side of what happened on the Colorado trip. I think it'll be interesting. Was there proven to be the oxy? I don't know. That's pretty good question, Melissa Jade. No doubt about it. I'm sorry, guys. I have really loud headphones in the wind. It's probably very frustrating for you. AD found a shadow in the driveway, and Zach Real debunked it last night. Oh, AD's going for the shadow theories again, huh? You know, I don't necessarily agree with what he thinks, but I did give him props for coming out daily and having different shows. Sorry, dude. Sorry, Mr. Uneducated tried to come in and sat up where he can at the moment. Uh, yeah, he comes out with a lot of content almost daily basis. I don't know how he does it. You think after a while he would run out of material to show since there's only so much. You know, you only have so much footage, and a little bit of a discovery to go through all the time. But I think that's great that how he's able to. But again, with the shadows, I kind of agree. I don't think there's really any or law that has anything to do with it. Uh, yeah, no, that's very true, Marple. No doubt about it. But yeah, he's one of the bigger creators or content makers. I guess sometime this week too. SR and FR, they were in his just basic chat talking, I guess, and answering questions from people. I don't know why they didn't have him go up online. If it was actually them, I think it was fake. Yeah, I agree. That's the only one I can see too. Oh, interesting, guys. Yeah, maybe that'd be a good thing to review. Um, Nate's security footage of Chris backing up and seeing what maybe can be picked out. Again, I feel like there should be other footage and different angles from people in the neighborhood. I just think there's more video out there that's been redacted and we're not able to see. And again, I know this is brought up with FR said he saw CW taking the kids out like trash. Oh, no, that's true. That's very good, Bumblebee. Yeah, maybe it was like totes or something he was loading up. Definitely a good possibility. Seeking the truth, what they call NK or something, 4 a.m. in the morning. Why would he do that? Oh, that'd be interesting. What do you guys think of the new pictures that have been revealed of possibly NK? Do you guys think it's her or just some poor lady out grocery shopping and got her pictures taken? No, I agree with you, bro. But um, what do you guys think about the pictures? Do you think these recent ones are actually NK or somebody completely different? Just my opinion. I know people say because of the COVID, this person had a bigger butt than NK did because not working out or whatever. I think it's just totally different person. Again, there's a link if someone likes to come up or not. Yeah, I think with the photos that they're releasing, it's not her. I think it's a bunch of fake. Hey, Lost Puppy, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So, what's your thoughts on the Chris Watts case?
I think that he killed his daughters and then killed his wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, one of
I,
those.
I,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, I'm just saying I agree with you to a certain point. Yeah, I believe he snapped, but I just my question is if he did, if there was enough time for him to hide the bodies and do everything by himself instead of someone being there helping him. I guess. Do you think there was enough time for him to do everything?
I'm sure he probably had help. Maybe he called someone over to help him, but none of that was caught on camera, right? Or was it?
No. Um, there's a theory too where they could snuck the bodies. Let's say if CW was a distraction loading his truck down at the basement, the windows are small enough that somebody could load it, the bodies from the basement window there. That's a possibility.
I mean, then
Uh,
that must have been premeditated if that was all part of the plan.
yeah, it could be definitely a possibility. That's why, again, this case is so interesting and drives us all mad trying to find the truth. What do you think about it possibly being one of his co-workers, maybe meeting him early at Survey 319?
Well, I heard that the person he was speaking to, Nicole, was a worker in the facility that he was working in. So, I mean, if she was, then that would be easy access for him.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely true. Um,
But I think
again,
not to make him sound like an angel or some sort of hero, but maybe she was annoying him to the point where he just had enough because the relationship obviously was dying. So probably something she did or said set him off the edge, and he probably did regret it afterwards. But attacking the two kids makes no sense.
no, I
Attacking
agree
her
with
makes
you.
sense.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely for sure. Um, SW, she was a very difficult person, or that type A personality, and I'm sure after years of emotional abuse, I personally I think he snapped, but again, could have been premeditated or a little bit of both. But a lot of people are saying NK was there. I would like more information. Do you think they have stuff redacted that we don't know?
No, there's no reason to protect them. I mean, if someone else was guilty, I don't see the reason why they're protecting that other person.
Yeah. But do you think there would have been like more data once they did the cell phone dump to say NK was there at the house? Because
Um,
again, go ahead.
no, go finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just saying with the Doomsday couple, Lord Vallow and Chad Daybell, they were able to use the GPSs off their cell phones to find the bodies, like they were 3 meters or 3 feet.
Hmm.
So that kind of validates to me if she was there, that would have definitely been there.
So you think he had a helping hand?
I think yeah, getting rid of them, yes,
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of
but
work. Digging a grave for his wife, and then stuffing two kids in the compartment that he stuffed them in. That does take a lot of work, a lot of determination.
yeah, and the ground out there looks sandy, but it's hard clay underneath. I'm from Utah originally, and the soil's very similar, and so I just again kind of makes me wonder. It's like he wasn't really sweaty, didn't look tired, you know, digging it. Maybe it was premeditated. You're onto something here. Maybe like Friday night or something. He had the hole already.
Yeah, I mean it had to be premeditated. It couldn't just be like it wasn't just in the moment for you to attack the kids too. You had to be thinking about it. Because if you're angry at one person, you're for no reason you don't attack innocent kids. You must have been planning this all along.
Yeah. Do you think it's a possibility where his confession from Wisconsin that Bella walked in on him when he was killing Shanahan?
I mean, I have a son myself, so I mean, they are curious when the kid hears something, they want to see what's going on. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got caught in the act and maybe his impulse was to attack her too. I mean, that you must be crazy to do something like that, but I was never in that situation, so it's hard to
Yeah.
say,
No.
but I mean, it's a possibility.
Do you think drugs could have been involved since where CW was on Thrive and seems like he was not getting a lot of sleep, using some type of like
Probably on
stimulants.
steroids. He was working out, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was using some sort of steroids.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wish they would have gave him a drug test once they took him in custody. I think that would help give some more information. But yeah, I think it could have been steroids. I think either cocaine, meth, or some type of upper stimulant.
It's just weird how he voluntary just wanted to do the lie detector test and all these other things, and then he openly admitted to his father, but he told a different version to his father how she was attacking the kid and then he attacked her. So it's a little weird as to why he would say that and then why he would confess.
Well,
So
I think he has a hard time saying no to people, just kind of where he's very passive or docile that way. But yeah, he definitely should have lawyered up and went to trial and fought it. He shouldn't have taken the plea deal. But uh, do you think are you wanting Chris to get the 35C or not?
I mean, I'm probably yeah. I mean, there's a lot of CW fans here, I think, but I mean,
Yeah,
I don't really see him. I know there's always a chance for anything, but I mean, he confessed to his own to the murder, so it's gonna be kind of hard to get out.
yeah, and that's kind of where I believe CW, killed Shanann for sure, and or not the kids or whatever. But again, it just comes down to like who helped him get rid of the bodies so quickly.
I mean, it would have been a cool story that if he only killed his wife, but didn't. She killed the kids and then he killed the wife. That, in my opinion, that would make him like not guilty. That would make him kind of like a hero because in a way he was protecting, helping the kids.
Yeah,
But I don't know why he then said he killed the kids as well. It's not like they had evidence that he killed them, so I don't know why he openly said that.
yeah, I don't think there was a whole lot of forensics, just DNA tied to it or not. I mean, the case just went to a complete stop once he decided to go with the plea deal. Uh, it, um, Personally, I don't think he's getting out of prison for his 35C, but I don't think he's going to get a reduction either. Maybe he just wants to come out with the truth, hopefully. And this is
Wait,
maybe a
so
way for.
some people are saying he didn't confess to killing them, but I've read on the websites and stuff. Maybe I read wrong. Somebody could correct me that he did confess in killing the girls or dumping their bodies, or was it just dumping their bodies?
No, just dumping. Well,
Okay,
I think with the bodies, I still think to this day he hasn't agreed that he killed his two daughters, but
gotcha,
as
gotcha.
part of the plea agreement is where they convicted or believe he did it.
Okay, and that, if he, I probably read it wrong. Then if he didn't admit it, then I guess he has a little bit of a chance if he's sticking to his story. I mean,
Yeah, no, most definitely. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. So, what's your thoughts on the Chris Watts case?
Well, who's talking? Who's up here?
just me, some
Cooter.
random person.
There you go.
I'm sorry?
Random person.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know because I didn't see a name. Hey, Cooter, I saw ya.
Hey, yeah. Lost Puppy is up here with us.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, no,
Chris...
he never admitted to killing the girls. That's why I wanted to come up here, and Melissa's like, hop up there, and I was like, all right. But he never admitted to killing the girls. Never. He never. Maybe he said it in Wisconsin, but that was not a confession. That was not meant to be a confession.
If it came out of his mouth, if it comes out of his mouth, that means a lot. If I was to say I shot the guy, well, at least one time, if anybody, it came out of your mouth. That's major. If it never came out of his mouth,
so Right. Okay. But he never did until Wisconsin, which was
But he
way,
did,
way,
right?
way later.
He
But
did though,
listen,
did he?
right. But if I walked into a police station today and I said, hey, I killed, I don't know, Cooter's dead and I killed him. They can't just take my word for it. They have to investigate it. And you know what I mean? Like, but they didn't do that. I mean, I've read different things, like, usually when a male family annihilates, they usually use a gun. I think Kim Kaufman has said, there were like 3 different ways that, Shanann and
Yeah,
Bella and Cece were all murdered in different ways. When does that ever happen? I mean, and if this is such an anomaly, then he should be being studied for being a new type of family annihilator, because he fits none of the profile.
yeah, but he's a liar though, because I saw the interviews and how he blatantly lied about he doesn't know where his wife is, and then a few hours later
But who?
he goes in the midst that he did
But
kill his wife. So his credibility is kind of shot, especially if he did say in Wisconsin that he did kill them. Now that's just like, can we believe this man now?
right, but if you know the background, like why he might have lied on the porch, and lying in Wisconsin again, I mean, that was ridiculous. What FBI agency, goes, how many months later was it? And they go and they say, oh, we just want
Uh,
to.
sorry, guys. 4 months, about, I think.
Why are they going to him afterwards? Who does that? Like, why? He never confessed. He wanted them to ask. He said, are you going to, when they did the polygraph, he said, are you going to ask about the girls? And I can't remember what Tammy's response was, but they never did ask about the girls. All they did was ask about Shanann. Now, if they had asked about the girls, what would have happened on the polygraph, I wonder.
But
Because
imagine this.
he said from, go ahead.
Wouldn't it be better for him if he just came flat out and said, yes, I did kill her because she attacked the girls and I saw the girls dead, and that
He did.
embraced the attack? But no, he was circling around the whole thing. He was acting like they just ran off and Shanann abducted the girls or something along those lines. I saw the interviews. So it's not
Oh,
like
well, yeah.
the whole time he was lying. He was just making stories. He was just going along with the flow. And as the situation got worse, he started coming up with different stories. So now his credibility, for me personally, it's not there.
Yeah, well, but it is what it is. I mean, I think that, initially, the reasoning behind it is, I mean, there's so many different theories. I mean, people are now saying, that maybe Shanann was setting him up. Maybe she killed the girls and was, going to set him up. And I mean, who knows? I personally think that she committed suicide. I mean, I think she killed the girls and committed suicide because, I mean, she couldn't sustain, there was nothing of that life that she could have sustained on her own. I also think there was a CPS case that was open. I think that she was, in a lot of trouble with the girls. I mean, she posted so much stuff, and I'm sure that she had mandated reporters watching her, just, not watching her, like, because, but just, friends or who's ever on Facebook. I mean, Gina Dietz was a mandatory reporter, for God's sakes.
Lisa, I don't know if you have any kids, but if I see my kids
Yes,
blue on the floor, I'm going to call 911 and see if there's a chance to save them. I'm not going to take my son to an oil rig and dump his body in there. That's just kind of weird to me. If I see my kid, I'm still going to hope there's a chance to revive that child. Now, for him to try to cover up that body and then come back and say, oh, I don't even know who my kids are. What can they be? Oh, yeah, I remember now. They're in the oil dump. Like, come on. That's a murderer right there.
I don't agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of things behind it. I mean, he was very, very browbeaten by her, to the point of, I mean, he was an abused male. He was an abused spouse. And I mean, I grew up with a father who abused my mother. I mean, I know how people react to abuse and how scared they are, PTSD, how scared they are even after the person's gone, even years after, I mean, I could still say if I was in the presence, I won't even say how old I am, but I mean, if I was in the presence of my father, I would be scared right now, even though it's been decades. You know what I mean? So, I mean,
I
that's
agree
what
with
abuse
you.
does to you.
I agree with you. I'm not saying Shanann was an angel. I'm sure she was abusing him in some way because I've been in situations like that myself, and that can take a toll on you. So I don't blame him for what he did. You know, he had his reasons. I'm not part of that. I wasn't part of that relationship. But for to include the kids, now that's where it gets weird for me.
Right. Unless she did it, then he, you
Yeah.
know, in a rage, he just attacked her and then was like, oh,
Yeah,
fudge.
I would love to believe that.
Right. And then was like, oh my God, nobody's going to believe that. I mean, who knows who knows what's going through somebody's mind when you've got that in front of you? I mean, I can't even imagine. Only he, you know, and as we all know, only he can say what really happened. But I honestly believe that he hasn't even really been in touch with like what happened that night, because I mean, if if it were true that Shanann killed the girls, it would be, that would be so traumatic for him. And honestly, I mean, the way he interacted with the girls and the way that he took care of them, he seemed more bonded and more attached to them than Shanann did. And to have both of your children dead, um, you know, that's, you know, what happens when a traumatic event happens. I was telling Melissa one day, you know, like when you're in a car accident and you wake up in the hospital and people say, oh, what happened? And you're like, oh, I don't know. All I remember is, you know, driving down blah, blah, blah. And then this, and then I don't remember anything after that.
Well, that
You
kind of
know, I
proves
think
that
he's
he went black, and what his actions were not under. Like sometimes, if a person gets mad because I've been in that situation, you just blank out and you don't even remember doing that or how you did that. So that could have been the case with him. He just went ballistic. He did what he did, and then when he came back to the senses, didn't even know what was going on.
yeah, I've never done that. So I don't know. All I know is about like forgetting, or not forgetting, but blocking out traumatic events. You know, I know about that, and I can see that happening with him if he saw Shanann, especially as pissed as he probably was at her all those years. And well, you know, I don't even know that he was pissed at her, but you know, I mean, he was trying to get away from her, for God's sakes, and like she just wasn't letting go. And I mean, all he wanted to do was, you know, get an apartment for him and the girls. He wanted 50-50 custody. You know, people say, oh, well, he did this because he wanted to be with NK, or he did this because he didn't want to pay child support, or blah, blah. I mean, no, he wanted to be with his girls. He wanted to take them hiking and go outside and do things that they never got to do, you know. He was looking forward to a new life without her. I mean, she was such a, I don't know, man. I don't know. She ruined his life as far as I can see. And he took away hers, you know. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, I definitely think NK was a catalyst, maybe just by talking or whatever. But do you think she gave him an ultimatum? It's like either your family or
No,
me. No.
no, nope, not at all. Why? She was helping him to look for apartments for him, and she was, you know, she was nice. If anything, she was, you know, she was a good friend to him, and he probably really even hadn't had a good friend that he could talk to. You know, I mean, he
Yeah.
had guy friends, but I mean, he couldn't really, you know, sit down and shoot the shit with, you know, he couldn't go to a bar and have a couple beers with his buddies. He couldn't talk to his coworkers like, geez, this is what's going on at home. I mean, NK was the first person he had talked to in years, like from the heart. But I, you know, any family annihilator too. I mean, it's never for like for the affair person. You know, it's not, people don't kill their whole families for, and if they might kill their spouse because of an affair, but they don't annihilate their whole family because of an affair. And the fact that it's not, they don't kill their spouse when they're getting ready to file for divorce. They both talked about it. Somebody might, you know, like, I don't know, in a different case, a male or a female might kill their spouse because they want to be with somebody else. But I mean, these two were talking divorce already, and they were putting the house up for sale, and blah, blah, blah. So it was, the wheels were in motion. It wasn't like anybody was really putting up a fight, you know, and there would be no reason for him to kill
Well,
her, never mind his entire family.
it could be the crazy mentality where if I can't have them, nobody will.
Who?
Chris,
Shanann and the girls?
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about Chris, his point of view. Like, for him to even
Ow.
annihilate everybody.
If he can't have them, he wanted a divorce and he wanted 50-50 custody. She wasn't going to get full custody. She didn't even have a job.
We don't know what he wanted because we're not really Chris. We can only assume.
Why? What? He wanted a divorce?
Yeah, we don't really know what was going on because in his mind, he loved them. Like they were his everything. And
the girls, not Shanann.
The last conversation he had with Shanann, if I remember correctly, they had like a very emotional conversation where he was trying to save the marriage.
No, that's not true.
That's where one of the documentaries I saw.
Well, if it was Netflix, then that's
it might have been.
That's right, and that's not true. No, when she came home from Arizona, she had seen the $60 charge, which again, he wasn't allowed. He had to use gift cards to spend money. So he had charged that meal and she knew that it was, with another person. And so, he was just like, it's over. I want a divorce. He didn't want to stay with her. That was obvious even when he went to North Carolina. I mean, they hardly communicated for the week. And then when they did communicate, she would just, it sounds like, she took him out on the porch that one night when she made him come home from his parents' house. I mean, she was so extra. I mean,
so
good God.
What do you think, Lisa? What's your stance? What do you think
I think she killed the girls.
So, okay, let's pretend you're like playing a video game and you're seeing everything happen. How exactly did it go down in your point of view?
Well, I think that he was downstairs in the basement. It was like kind of what he said. He was downstairs or when he was pulling his there could be two different things, because when he was pulling his truck out, remember, he pulled his truck up and he wasn't allowed to, number one, bring his truck into the driveway, and number two, he wasn't allowed to open the garage because it might wake up the girls. So it could have been that he pulled in and he was loading his truck up to go to work, and the girls woke up and she woke up and she was like, oh, you motherfucker, like she could have been pissed. And then the girls maybe started, who knows what happened. I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know what happened, but
just going on by what you think. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, because nobody's right or wrong. Like, what do you think? How do you think it went down? If you were writing a book and you were like God and you're watching it happen, how do you think it happened?
But I don't know. I can't say that. I mean, I just know.
You think that he did it, so
I do. I think she killed the girls, and he might have killed her, or she killed herself. That I don't know. But I do think she killed the girls, either when he was sleeping in the basement or when he was leaving for work.
So what do you think was going through his mind, thinking, let me not call 911, let me dump their bodies instead and pretend like I don't even know where they are?
Because he said that he didn't think that he's got 3 dead people in the house, that he didn't think that they would believe him, that he didn't kill the girls.
Sounds like a child.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree with how he handled it or whatever, but I'm just saying I don't think, based on what I see as their psychological profiles, their temperaments, their behaviors, their interpersonal relationships with people, I don't see him as a human being killing the girls. I can see her doing it because I believe that she had borderline personality disorder at the very least. I believe there was a CPS case. I believe that she didn't care about the girls like he did. I think that she saw them in a different way. Then she wasn't attached to them. She used baby wise to rear them. She didn't hold them to feed them. I mean, she propped them on a pillow. I mean, she just wasn't bonded with them. And it was obvious in her videos.
Yeah, but Chris's emotions during the interrogation were pretty much like non-existent. Even when he
Well,
knew the
yeah,
Hey,
stuff that they
because
were.
guys,
But
what's Melissa? She's been waiting patiently. What's your view on everything, Melissa?
Oh no, it's fine. I'm just absorbing.
Oh.
I think what everyone needs to do with this case is to disassociate themselves. So it's not about what would I have done in that situation, because even on the normal, typical day, there are many things that some people may do that you would never choose to do. So it's not about why would he do that in this situation, because I wouldn't do that. I think majority of us would call 911 if that was a given situation, but you
right.
can't use that as the tell all be all.
that's
The
not
one,
true. And I tell
yeah,
you why
you
it's not
can't.
true, because because Lisa's painting this guy like this lover that loved his kids like
He
so
did.
much.
He did
If you
love his
see your
kids.
dead child on the floor there, you're gonna want to revive that child. You're gonna want to help that child, not
They
stop
weren't
that
on the
child's head
floor.
into an 8-inch oil compartment and just leave their bodies there. That's a sad way to
Well,
leave.
that's another thing. Tell me how on earth you can get, I mean, why is this 8-inch thing floating around? You tell me how you can get a 3 and a 4-year-old into an 8-inch diameter hole. I mean, give me
That's
a
what they said.
break. No, I know that, but
I
how
find
much
it weird
sense
too.
does that make? I
Well, it
mean,
wouldn't be the
people
first
have
time they
bones.
put out an official narrative that wasn't accurate.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot to question. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. And then people love to say, "Oh, well, he, he took his boot and he stomped them into." No, he didn't. They had no broken bones. They had no
They would be
bruising.
missing
I mean,
chunks of skin just from, listen, there, the width of
no,
her
I know.
frame, the shoulder width exceeded the width
Right,
of that hole. So it's not about
right. But at the
maneuvering and stuff, especially if rigor mortis had set in, and rigor mortis sets in anywhere between 1 to 6 hours. So that,
right, and
depending on when
so
you
you
think those
can't
kids
shove.
died. Right.
You can't shove them into an 8-inch hole. I mean, that makes zero sense. Zero. Although the only thing I've ever heard is that there was like doors or something or hatches down at the bottom.
Yes, but there was about hundreds of bolts and screws that you would have to
Oh,
take out, and you would also have to drain the oil to get access, because if you took that hatch door off, all the oil would come pouring out. But my
but there
biggest
was only
tell-all,
a foot of oil in there at tops. One of them had like 8 inches. The other one had like 12.
correct, but at least I'm not too familiar with that oil industry to be able to give my input intellectually. So, but the biggest tell-all for me is, if you want to take a plea deal, and I believe he was a abused and battered male, I do believe that, but with the Wisconsin confession, and I know a lot of people don't like to go there, but that was unnecessary. Why recount a story and tell such horrific detail about how you killed those kids, what the ride was like, what the smells were like, what your children's last words were before you smothered them, if you did not do that? Now, that's not something I think a parent is capable of, especially if they are not the ones who killed those children. So that's a big reason that I'm like, I could get my head around, okay, he's a battered male, he's taking the rap, he has guilt, he's just going to serve the rest of his life in jail. I'm with you on that, up until the point where, why would he go into those descriptions? Why would he
Because,
recount that
I
well,
see.
story?
did you listen? Did you listen to Kim? Have you heard what her explanation is for that? I mean, because I'm not going to say that it's
An
my
assumption.
idea. Sorry, what, Lost
I've
Puppy?
I've listened
That
to
I
a
said that's
lot,
an
but go on.
assumption by Kim. His confession means more than her assumption.
No, it's not her assumption. I'm saying I'm not going to make you guys think that this is my idea. What she said was that there is this psychic or somebody who has like these prophetic dreams or whatever in the UK or Ireland, and
Oh yes, yes.
she sent, it was like almost word for word. And if you believe, which I believe, that he has Asperger's, he probably will read something and it's committed to memory, which I think the people at work had said that he was like that. If there was any rule or if there was any, what work had been done on a certain well or a tank or whatever, he could just recite like everything, all the work that had been done on it. He was like Rain Man. So for him to recite her dream exactly is bizarre in and of itself. And, he felt like, they were there again, it was like a 4 or 5 hour, I think it was a 5-hour interview, and we only
Right.
saw like 3 hours. And like, did he, supposedly maybe he felt like he had to say something or they weren't leaving, because then, I mean, they walk out and they're like, oh, well, it was worse than we expected, so it must be true or something like that. I mean, it just, they're, if the FBI and if CBI and if law enforcement could have proven any of this, I would feel better about their conclusions. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's what it is. It's the same thing with the JonBenet Ramsey case, and that pedophile teacher came in and admitted to the killings. You can't just
Mark
arrest
Carr.
someone on that, right? Right, exactly. You
Right.
need to prove that they did it, and that's the issue with this case, is that even the official narrative, it
There's
doesn't
no
quite
proof.
fit. It doesn't quite
Right.
fit. So what exact? And that's what I feel like everyone on here is doing. All these websuits. It's like, let's try to figure out what narrative does.
He already,
Right. And
like,
that's
like
what
you
pisses
said,
me off
Melissa,
when
he confessed in Wisconsin. He gave gruesome details. I think that's it.
It still doesn't fit the narrative. It still doesn't fit the autopsy. It doesn't fit the times, the autopsy, the crime, the crime scene changed from in the house to now the oil sites, and that would be cause of a whole new investigation, a whole new trial.
exactly.
The crime
But he still
scene
And people-
confessed though. He still
It
confessed.
doesn't
But
matter.
they'd have
There's
to
certain
they'd have to
protocols.
reinvestigate it.
But
They'd
why?
have
Different
they can't
protocols.
just they can't just take his word. They need to make it
Wait,
needs
they can't
to
take the
fit.
murderer's word. The only guy in the
Right,
house
because
with
they
three
need to
dead
prepare
bodies.
for trial. Because listen, come that day in trial, you don't just say, "Hey, he confessed." No, now prove to me that he did these killings.
Throwing trials and all these regulations and legal things, because we do know that justice system is corrupt. Just putting that to the side. The guy.
Well, obviously,
confessed.
because Rourke came out and said a bunch of shit that wasn't true. He did not confess to killing the girls when they
I
said
would
he
hate to
came
be
out
the
and
dead
confessed.
person. I would hate to be the dead person and everyone else is defending someone that actually did it. That would be pretty sad, right?
Yes, but we're all not for fortune tellers with a crystal ball. We can't. We
Well,
don't. There's no way for us to know what the truth is.
Lisa
But
said there
tell me
was a
this.
fortune
Tell me
teller.
this. Tell me this. Is it more injustice to be the dead person with everyone else blaming the person that's alive to be the murderer, or would it be worse if he was the innocent one and she's the one getting the praise and she's the one who did it? Which one's worse?
Well, I can't say because of what he said in Wisconsin. If he never said what he said in Wisconsin, and you articulated really well earlier, if he didn't say what he said in Wisconsin, then I'm with you. But because he said what he said, it's kind of hard to give this man any sort of credibility, especially when he lied continuously up to that point.
I feel like, and I'm going to piggyback off what Lisa said. I truly believe, now maybe Chris is guilty. I don't know. Like everyone knows about me, is I'm truly undecided on this case. But to piggyback off of what Lisa said, just from what I can observe from Chris, I truly feel like he is trying to piece together himself what happened. I don't know if it's a blackout post-trauma. Maybe he had nothing to do with it. And he doesn't understand why. Maybe he did do it and he doesn't know why.
Those are called excuses. If the man said,
I don't think he even was lying. I think he told the truth when he said, Chris, come on, tell us, okay, I killed Shanann because I started killing the girls. Oh, well, that's not good enough. You know, and just knowing Chris's personality, if he's got Asperger's, if he's, whatever happened to, excuse me, his marriage for 8 years. I mean, it's easy for like a regular person to be railroaded, never mind somebody with his type of personality to be railroaded. I mean, there's so many people who confess to things that they didn't do because they feel like, they make you feel like you're not going to get out of this room until you tell us what happened, even though you've got all these rights.
Brendan Dassey case, which was an awful that right there makes me say, oh my God.
How old were those people? The one that you just quoted.
Brendan Dassey was an underage teenager, but
okay, that's a child.
Okay, but he was. It shows the tactics that the police are willing to do, interrogators willing to do, because they refused his parent and/or lawyer, which is illegal.
If this was premeditated, like Brown said, then I think this man is smarter than what you guys are giving him credit for. He's not some lost child.
If it was premeditated, there wouldn't be a sheet left out in the oil field. If it was premeditated,
Or a
cops wouldn't have
broken
been
rake.
right, the cops wouldn't have been at his house within a few hours of her missing. Like
He wouldn't have buried them, and he wouldn't have buried them where he worked. I mean,
right,
he
she
could
wouldn't
have
be in
like
a shallow grave.
Well, let's
with
not
her
give him credit for
body
his
still sticking
intelligence.
out. He's
Let's not give
very
him credit for his
intelligent.
intelligence.
He's very intelligent.
Not that intelligent for saying what he said in Wisconsin.
We don't know why he
because
said it,
he
but it
didn't
wouldn't
think
be
it
the
was going to
first
be
time.
released.
Yes,
It
and
wasn't
he
even
was
supposed to
not-
be
It was
released.
not. He was told and assured that this was specifically going to be for Shanann's family, so they could have closure. By the time their foot,
I'm so glad you said that, because that even proves why he admitted the truth, because he thought it was going to be kept in closed doors. So he thought it was safe to finally say the truth, and that's why you never heard him say the truth ever again, because he thought that was just a one-on-one secret little thing.
Nope. That's how you think of it, but that's not how I think of it.
I mean, I'm not saying you have
But
to,
I mean, if
that's a
you say
possibility.
we don't give him, you say we don't give him enough credit, but yet, you know, or premeditated. If it was premeditated, number one, his truck has a GPS and the Lexus didn't have a GPS. He could have dumped them at any oil well that hadn't been in use for, you know, up to 10 years or something. Nobody would have found him. There are so many places out there he could have buried them, dumped them, threw them in
All
a
right.
dumpster.
So Lisa, let me ask you this basic question. I already know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Do you think he killed Shanann?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right. How about Melissa? Do you think he killed Shanann?
it depends on which day you ask me, but more than likely, I think he killed Shanann.
Okay. So that means he killed two people, Shanann and the child that was inside of her. Someone just said that they don't think
Come
Shanann
on.
was pregnant. That's what someone just said.
No.
Well, if she was,
I mean,
she sure as hell
that's,
didn't get the treatment and prenatal care for it.
and that's state by state as far as
Right,
No.
in Colorado,
a fetus.
No,
it's
I'm
not
talking about
considered.
a mentality of a human male, a father. Even if the child is unborn, you love that child. And
It was
for him to
15
kill
weeks
that unborn
old.
child as well just shows that he doesn't really care.
He didn't
Selfish.
he didn't even, number one, if in all of their texts and all that stuff, he never mentioned that baby. I don't even know. I mean, they had sex once and supposedly she got pregnant.
Oh
And
yeah, but
supposedly
she
she
was
had
totally
and
infertile.
supposedly she
Yeah.
had infertility issues.
Yeah.
And supposedly she was having an affair, you know, with somebody, and said that she, you know, it was desperate times and that she was going to have to do what she had to do to, you know, be with someone, you know. I mean, there's so much craziness that, I mean, I don't think he was, I don't know about that
Sebastian
baby.
brought up a
I
good
don't even,
question. Was it even his child?
I don't know. Why won't they release the DNA?
Yeah, they have the paternity test DNA, but they refuse to release it.
And the thing is that it's not even that it should be released. If Melissa, if in fact Chris is the father, it's not even a matter of being released. It's a matter of him and his family have a right to that
Right.
DNA test.
You're
So why are
absolutely
they
right.
not getting it? Why are they not getting it?
Perhaps
very
the
true.
answer in itself is right there.
It tells you that he might not, because they shouldn't even have to ask for it. It should automatically go to them. And, you know, this was going to be Shanann's Thrive baby, because, you know, she had infertility issues with the other two, and she was supposedly on infertility medication. I mean, give me a break.
Like I said, women who don't have infertility get pregnant less than Shanann has gotten pregnant in the time frame that she did. She did not have infertility
So are
issues.
you ladies denying that she was pregnant?
No.
No,
Do
I'm
you
not
think she was
denying she was pregnant.
I mean, I can't confirm because
She
I'm not an
obviously was.
OBGYN who gave her a
He confirmed
sonogram.
it. Chris confirmed it, I thought. Did he?
I
thought
mean,
it
it was
had
as
to be
It said,
confirmed.
I think there was a fetus in the autopsy. I think it said.
Right.
And they did a DNA test on the fetus. So yeah, she must have been pregnant. Was it a viable pregnancy? Was it alive when she died?
We can't say
Who
that.
knows? Huh?
He still ended her. He still ended her, which ended the baby.
What's
No.
your point, then?
It might have not been alive when she died.
Right. because she was very sick. Apparently, she was very, very sick on her
They're saying it was
trip.
a miscarriage.
A lot of people do believe that.
That's why do people keep making excuses for this man?
But wait, let me ask you something.
It's not
Are
for
you
him.
fully educated? And
Huh?
right, like this is what people get misunderstood. It's actually getting justice for those kids. It's not about you're in love with Chris Watts or you're a Shiner. It's about those kids deserve to have justice and have the truth out. Because I think no matter which
No,
way you
but
look
wait
at
a
it, we
minute.
all
Wait a
can
minute.
agree.
Wait a
We
minute.
all can agree
Hold
those
on, hold
kids
on.
are the true victims in all
That
this.
that's not even fair to say, because when he knew where the kids were for days, he didn't tell nobody, and those bodies were rotting. So did he really care about justice for
I'm
the
talking
kids?
about us,
Or did he care
we
about
the
his own?
people.
No,
I'm talking about us,
Chris.
not what Chris did.
Nobody's
I'm not-
making
I'm-
excuses for Chris.
Yeah, Chris is
I'm
where
not making
he should
excuses.
be. If he had any part indirectly, indirectly, if he just had something to do with putting the bodies, if he simply knew after the fact, then he's exactly where he should be. But he deserves a trial because a trial is designed to get answers, to fill in the hole, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt how this happened. So a trial
And if she
absolutely
had
should take place.
culpability,
A trial is designed to lie and to try to go around the system and to try to get out of there. That's what a trial is designed for someone like him. He wants to get out of there no matter what. But at his
Yeah, shut the
position, he's
door,
gonna have
there's
to.
gonna be an echo.
that's not what a trial is. That's
Talking about
ridiculous.
Chris, in the position that Chris is in, I'm speaking. In the position that he's in right now.
We're talking about the beginning of, I think that might be what Melissa, he should have had a trial. He should have had a trial. So then it would prove whether he did it or not. If Shanann had any culpability in the demise of those children, we need to know if she had Munchausen by proxy, if she was abusive, if all these crazy rumors, all these things are coming up because people witness all this stuff. If it's not true, let's put it to rest so nobody has to talk about it anymore. But it's pretty obvious that those things were happening. And why doesn't Shanann have any culpability if, in fact, she had some?
And there is
I
a
mean-
thing called criminology and victimology, and it is very normal to study perpetrators and victims' behavior after the fact to try to understand what combination of circumstances, what situation would have led up to this, so we can prevent things like this from happening in the future. Because if someone spoke up to Shanann previous to the murders, maybe something like this wouldn't have been the end result.
Right.
So the way you said
If somebody said,
at this point, you just want to know the truth. You don't even care if he did it or if he did do it or if he didn't do it.
Why would I care which way it is? I want the truth. I don't care who ends up the victor. There is no victor in this situation.
Not Victor, but don't you want to know if he actually did it or not?
Exactly. That is why I'm pushing for it to get this trial. Because like you said, if we're supposed to base this off just admitting, well, I threw the example out there earlier, Mark Carr with the JonBenet Ramsey case. He had the photos of JonBenet in his damn wallet, and he came strutting up and he's like, I am the killer of JonBenet. Now, should we have just locked him up and threw away a key? No, because if you take now the evidence and try to prove that he did it, well, they proved he didn't do it. So you sitting here saying, we need to take Chris because he admitted it. Because John Mark Carr admitted it.
That's not even a good example to use, to JonBenet, because the only people in the household was the two parents and the son.
But
it's not like
you're saying that Chris. You're saying that Chris admitted it. You're saying that Chris admitted it.
Right. You're saying, well, Chris confessed. So that's it. I'm saying, well, John Mark Carr confessed.
Too. You said in the Wisconsin, you gave a
No, what I said, it wasn't confessed. What I said was what I can't understand is if he did not do this, why go into such horrendous detail?
But he did, right?
At least in the Wisconsin confession, yes, he did.
So he did. Okay.
But that still didn't prove my point. I mean, it depends on which way you want to look at it. That is a big issue with the way I look at it.
Which options do I have to look?
You can look at any way
Does his confession agree with the black and white facts of the case, the autopsy, the timeline?
Has hers as well, right, Lisa?
No, what I'm saying is how it depends on how you want to look at it. Well, does his confession match the autopsy? Does it match the timeline? Does it match the GPS? Does it match it? You know, there's facts in the case, the text messages, phone calls.
Can you not hear Lisa?
No. I can
Oh.
hear you.
She
I
should
can't
be
hear her.
fine.
Oh well. Huh. Anyways, if it doesn't match, it doesn't match. I mean, you
Okay,
can't.
now I can hear you, Lisa. Now I can hear you.
Oh, well, now I don't even. Anyways, his confession needs to match the black and white facts of the case, which is the autopsy, which are the you know the phone calls, the times, the GPS, the timeline. If it doesn't match, then you can't say that even if he lied or even whatever. If it doesn't match, it doesn't match. Period.
Right. Touche.
Right? Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
partners in crime.
I'm not making excuses for Chris.
No, not at all. And I hate getting lumped into the category where you're either Chris Watts lover, or you're a Shiner or a Shanann hater. No. Listen, I just want the truth, and I know that's what you want, Lisa, too. And that's you're right. Listen, you're given these set of facts, and you're given these set of circumstances, and you're trying to do the best.
They
with
don't
trying
right.
to figure
If they
out
don't make sense,
right.
And
where do you guys have to stand in the side? You can't just be in the middle. Do you think he
Wrong.
did it? Or he
She
did.
already
Well, it's
answered
good
you,
to have.
though.
It's good to have like a standard base of what you think.
Lisa already answered you, though.
No, I'm
what
asking
she
you.
thinks.
I'm asking
but
you.
and plus the fact that if Chris is innocent, which he probably isn't, but I'm just saying, if he is innocent, just like any other man or woman who is sitting in prison who is innocent, that's not fair either. And if he did not kill his children, yes, he's still going to have, a life sentence or whatever the sentence may be.
Doing the
it just
time
won't
for
be
the particular
5
crime.
Listen, if
that
I
he
Doing
committed.
the time for the particular crime. He
If
should
I
be
did
held
something, I
accountable
would
for
be
what he
fighting.
did.
I would be fighting. I would be crying. I would be
But
screaming.
that's you, and I understand that's
That's
a
what I'm
hard.
saying.
This is a difficult thing to do, but you need to
it's
disassociate
No,
yourself.
not. Lisa painted him earlier as this guy that loved his kids so
He
much.
was.
He did.
He was. And if you
cool.
did any research,
He doesn't act
Lost
like
Puppy,
it.
you would know that.
He was the primary caregiver.
He doesn't act like this.
Yes, he
No, you're looking
did
at
act
him
like it.
since the murders. Have you done?
Of
Let me just ask you the direct question. Have you done any research prior to the murders? Just
I'm
answer my
telling
question. Wait. Did you do any research prior to the murders? Have you watched any
Yes, I
Shanann
did.
Watts home?
Yes,
You've watched
yes,
Shanann.
I did. Yes,
Tell
I
me
did.
one Shanann Watts home video. What'd you watch? Just
Wait,
just
what?
one of the million of them.
Wait,
Tell
why are
me-
you asking me these questions? I'm asking you.
Because you can't have an opinion on whether or not you
I
think.
can't have an opinion.
Let me finish my sentence. You can't have an opinion on whether or not you think he was a good father if you have yet to watch one video.
I know that. No, I know, but that's how they painted him. That's what he said.
Have you watched one video of Shanann Watts from her Facebook documenting every day of her life before the murders?
No, I have not stalked her Facebook like you have. I have not
closed.
stalked. Hold on, I have not stalked her
I've
Facebook
never even
like you
gone
have.
on her Facebook
However,
I have never
I
gone
do
on her
know
Facebook
enough.
once.
I do know enough to know that during the interrogations, he wasn't really showing much of a care in the world to.
No, well, you
bury
can't
his
go by
kids, get his kids out of that
interrogations.
situation.
Okay,
So you've told us that you listen.
fact-
No, wait, Melissa. He
for it,
told
Lisa.
us that he watched the interrogation, and he told us that he watched Netflix. That right there, you don't know enough about the case.
Netflix. I watched. That was me being sarcastic to you. I'm a very sarcastic person.
Oh.
I actually saw a few interviews on Facebook. The ones that I watched was the 2-hour interrogation, and then the polygraph exam, and then I know some of the backstory from things I've read online. But no,
Okay,
I have
honey,
not gone,
you need to go way
I've
back.
not gone on Facebook and saw those videos and seen a great.
Oh, you
I'm
don't
not
have
saying
to
he
go on
wasn't a great
Facebook.
father.
They're on YouTube.
Yeah, no, you don't have to go on Facebook. Lost Puppy, it's
Hold on.
it's not even like an attack towards you. It's simply because everybody can agree this case is a rabbit hole that you keep
Not really.
falling down and
Not really.
No, see, that's how I know you. That's immediately how I knew you didn't know anything.
I consider rabbit holes to be like the JonBenet Ramsey case. Now that's a rabbit hole.
This is the closest relation to JonBenet Ramsey. The killer is in the household, yet which one of them did it? This is a JonBenet replica. And the killer is within the house, but which one of them did it?
No, this is way
this
different.
not Chris Watts?
This one is way different because he knew exactly where their bodies were for days. I think months.
He may have known after the fact, though. Listen, to be a
Right.
critical
So,
thinker, you need to
okay, no, hold on.
examine
Let's go with your story.
all angles.
Let's
Right.
go with your story. Let's say he knew after the fact. Who told him? How did he find out? Because you want to make narratives for him. So put me.
No,
in his
I
shoes.
don't want to make narratives from him. People dissect this discovery word by word, and they are filling in the hole and the gaps with what we have, the facts that we have. Now, if we could put together a better narrative than the authorities gave to us, if our narrative fits those holes and gaps better than the narrative that the officials gave to us, then that's an issue. Then we need to use our own critical thinking, our own minds, and figure out what happened.
Let's use it, because every time I ask you guys a direct question, I don't know, I don't want to make assumptions, but you guys are making a case that he probably didn't do it.
How can we make a case of someone who doesn't know the case?
But that's what I'm saying. Nobody knows what happened, right?
I'm not here to educate you. If you're going to come on panel, you better come up educated.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm asking for your own opinion. If you were in his shoes, if you're saying he found out after the fact, you said that. You said he probably found out after the fact.
That's one of the theories.
Hold on. Let's go with that point of view of yours. Let's say he found out after the fact. Can you please articulate a narrative and narrate to me how he found out after the fact? Just playing devil's advocate here. How did he find out after the fact?
Hi everyone.
Hey,
Brooke.
Hey.
Go ahead. You said that he found out after. I'm curious to know how he found out after the fact. Even if it's right or wrong, I'm just curious to know that point of view.
Hey, guys,
Hey.
let's let Brooke talk. She's been waiting patiently.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just gonna say I've been up here before, and it just I was stating in chat, like, people don't like when you have opinions that don't fit the narrative. But if you think about it, the narrative has so many holes in it, it just doesn't make sense. So we're stuck here having to try to piece stuff together and go off of common sense, because a lot of this does not make sense.
Okay, but when someone says you come in here uneducated, that kind of falls to what you're saying. Because at the end of the day, we're all uneducated because we don't know the truth. We only know what we're hearing and seeing.
In a way. But what I would say to Lost Puppy, I'm not sure, if he's seen different stuff, online. I'm not saying, anything towards Lost Puppy, so please don't take it that way. But like, if you look at, just to give an example, when Chris Watts goes upstairs and he finds the wedding ring, he's on the phone, and it looks like he's kind of being like directed in certain different areas of the house. So what my thinking is, who is he talking to on the phone? Because his thought wasn't to go into that room and get that wedding ring. So who told him it was there? Because it seemed like when he ran in the house, when he opened up the garage, he would have gone straight to the room to get that wedding ring. You know what I mean? So we don't know where he ran around for that, a minute and some change when he had opened up the door when he first got to the house. So it looks like he's on the phone. Then all of a sudden he comes out of the room. Oh, look, I found the wedding ring. So who told him
that's a good point, Brooke. And let's say the wedding ring was in his pocket the whole time, and he just went around the room to place it where he placed it. He went back up and he found it later on. I mean it's different possibilities.
A lot of stuff is possible. Like, also, people don't like to talk about it. That whole, everybody walked in the house. Nobody was screaming out for Shanann or the girls. That's one
What gets
thing.
me, oops, sorry. What gets me is the cell phone and how quickly it was found.
Yeah. Or no, how about this one? Have you heard this, Lost Puppy, where when Nicole Atkinson called Sandy Rusek and Sandy said, check the knives.
Sandy is
Why would she say
Shanann's
that?
mother, Lost Puppy.
Right.
Why on earth would her mother say check the knives? And she just happens to have a scar on the front of her neck that maybe looks like self-harm, perhaps, maybe.
Which
because
the
and don't say
autopsy
it was
didn't even know.
The only thing I can say for Chris on his behalf is he probably hired someone to do the dirty work, but then got
nah.
No.
He didn't even have money for a divorce.
A lot of people, to answer your question, Lost Puppy, a lot of people think, and it's hard. See, this is why I'm saying you need to be educated on it, because when I say these names, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But N.A. is the person who initially called the cops.
That's Nicole, isn't it?
Nicole Atkinson, not Nicole Kessinger.
I know the neighbor. The one that was watching Shanann because she was pregnant. I know.
She wasn't a neighbor, but
she was always watching out for Shanann.
Yes. So a lot of people believe she was a hired hand from Shanann's mom because Shanann may have had an open CPS case. Shanann definitely had Munchausen by proxy, borderline, whether you believe she's on, on the heavier side of the spectrum or I definitely think she had borderline Munchausen by proxy. Now, a lot of people think that she was hired to keep an eye out for her. Hence why it was only a few hours after she dropped Shanann off and not hearing from her that she's at the house calling the cops, freaking out on the phone with Shanann's mom. Shanann's mom saying, check the knives, check the knives. Now, why would a mother say check the knives? A few hours since you've spoken to her. Why would a mom say check the knives? What would
Well,
be the reasonable?
Someone in the comments named Melissa said because she knew what she was capable of.
Exactly.
You also just
Exactly.
said
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think
So-
Shanann had she had mental health issues for a long time, not just, prior to Chris. I mean, in high school, from what.
But what are you
you
guys
know,
getting at? Because you guys are saying exactly like you have a whole underlying point. What's your point?
Listen,
What's your
for
story?
me as someone who
because
doesn't
she
know,
might have killed her children.
right.
Period.
Okay, I know where you stand, Lisa, but Melissa's all over the place. She's not really giving us a clear answer of what she thinks.
Because
Okay,
I
sorry.
don't have a clear have a clear answer, but what
Yeah,
I
Neither
that's
one of
where
us
it
do.
it gets weird with you, though.
what I can see, listen, I'm not gonna just jump on one side of the train because that's what I feel relevant to. I'm going to make sure I'm going to make sure I have my facts and orders. But
you at least gotta have a narrative. You at least gotta have a basis to what happened.
who says I at least need to have a
No, it
narrative?
would be
That's
nice
what
if
they
you did,
should
'cause
have
you sound like you know
put
what you're
it this
talking
way.
about.
That's what authority should have provided me with. I'm supposed to believe without a reasonable doubt of what
You're like a
happened,
sheep.
the official narrative. But that is not what I'm able to do. Why? Not because of my own self, because that's how many things don't add up in this case. And not just with the murders. This is the protocol that the authorities took, how they went about things. The Wisconsin interview should have never even existed. Everything
Right.
about this case does not add up. And that is not my fault that I don't know what the hell happened. That is their fault that they are able to convince us.
No, but it would be nice to hear your opinion. Like Lisa said, she thinks Shanann killed the kids. That's it. She doesn't have to say anything else.
I think there is more than likely it was Chris who did it. I am open to the possibility that Shanann did it because I do believe whether or not she killed herself and those kids that she did have Munchausen by proxy, at least borderline. But I think that there may have been an accomplice involved as far as MK or whoever you want to go down that route. But I don't know because I don't have enough facts to decide.
Right.
Like,
And
ready,
the,
get
and the
ready
law
for your
enforcement was
opinion.
supposed to investigate to get those facts, which they
Exactly.
did not.
Right.
He admitted it, and by close to 12 o'clock, the crime scene was shut down. Where does that happen? Nowhere. So it's just like they didn't investigate the house or look at the house to see what other evidence could be.
Right. They released
But
it, and then her
sometimes
parents
they
came
don't-
and took
they don't have to
everything.
release-
Right.
They don't have to release everything to us. They know what happened. They only release what they want to release.
Right,
Yeah,
but
but
the
what
point
they
is- the
release
point
has to at least
is-
add up.
Right. The point is,
But
he confessed, and like 3 hours later, it was shut down. That's a crime scene. People should have been there going through it with a fine-tooth comb to find anything that could.
And then
corroborate
once you find the crime scene now changed, and I don't like going by what KK says, but she's extremely accurate when she says you can't arrest someone for doing a school shooting and then find out later it was at a church. And that's a whole different crime scene. You then have to investigate that crime
Right,
scene and follow the protocol.
That's asinine. I cannot believe that the DA even came out and said that, oh, well, I think the crime scene seems to have changed. No, are you kidding me?
Right.
That's
said
insane.
They said that they had a theory as to what happened. They didn't say they knew what happened. And they
Right.
might
well,
have
that's
known
because
what
they thought he
happened.
did it the whole time. They were just waiting for him to say it himself.
Hey, you know what, Melissa, regarding Munchausen by proxy, there's a
Right.
statistic that kids who, are abused or have how would you say it? Who are Munchausen by proxy?
The ones that are proxied.
Right. They statistically they die before 5 years old.
Wow.
And so
I
I mean
believe
that just adds. Right. And you know why? Well, mostly because that's when they start talking, that's when they start going to school, that's and so they have to either stop or get rid of the
The evidence.
right.
Wow.
I mean, and that's really sad, but it's true. If you think of the few cases that we do know of Munchausen by proxy, a lot of them do end up dying before. And look at that one lady. What was
Gypsy Rose
is her name
Blanchard.
Spears? No,
Oh,
Spears. No, not Britney Spears.
Britney Spears.
No, she was a single mom, and her son died, and she sits there because they have her on tape in the hospital putting she was one who did salt.
Yes.
And she was one of those people. She had like a mommy blog and all this stuff, and everybody was praising her.
They caught her directly putting it into his IV or something.
Right, and she sits there today still and says they need to find the person who killed my child.
Real justice
and it's
said
like
that they didn't die in the house. I like that. I like that theory.
Real Justice definitely has his own theory, and I look forward to what he keeps putting out. But
I don't think there's any other place they could have died. I can't stand the fact that they even say that that they died anywhere but in the house. That's ridiculous.
Was there confirmed like blood or anything in the house?
No,
they were smothered.
And
they were
Bella,
smothered and
her frenulum
go ahead.
had been. I'm sorry, her frenulum had been ripped. And if you even bite your lip, there's a ton of blood. So like, where would that
mouth
blood
injuries bleed
a
lot, just like the head.
Right.
And so I don't know, but at the same time, the blanket that he apparently smothered those girls with are still sitting in that house. It was still sitting in that house post murders. So I don't know, because
so maybe it's like what Real Justice said, he killed him somewhere else.
No, but Real Justice saying is Chris is completely innocent. See, that's what I'm saying. Don't just read a comment.
No, he's not. He's saying that Shan didn't kill the kids. Read his comments.
Yes, I know what he's saying. That and I tell me if I'm wrong, Real Justice, but something along the lines of Nicole Atkinson and Shanann's mom, Sandy, somehow had a setup for, I think, life insurance money is his theory, and she was killed in the back of Nicole Atkinson's car. She never even made it home.
Well, what I remember was, from what I saw, was Chris was in the house. Nicole called the cops, and she was worried because she didn't hear from Shanann for a while.
Right. It was, she dropped her off at 2:00 in the morning.
I know.
The night before.
I'm just going by what I remember. And then Chris was confused. So who was the only known person to have seen her? Was it Chris or was it Nicole beforehand?
Don't know, because don't even know if the Ring doorbell footage we have of that night is even the correct footage. Because if it was, then I want to see the
was
footage.
Allegedly there.
Right. I want to see the footage of Nicole Atkinson's son jumping on top of her car, looking in the garage. If these things really happened that day, the way they claim, then shut our theories down. Just say, here it is. We have Nate's doorbell, Nate's side camera footage of you guys getting dropped off in the middle of the night, but you can't show us of you guys trying to break into the house for a few hours, waiting for Chris and the cops to come. Just show us that if that happened.
Right. And why did she say that? Why did she say with us? Why did she say that she went to go look at a house for Cassie when Cassie, by text, was saying that she and her husband and her family were going to move in with Shannon? I mean, that makes no sense either. Why is she looking at houses?
What I'm hearing here is that you guys think that Chris Watts was set up.
No, we're just discussing all the theories.
I like it. I actually like it. It sounds like a possibility.
We just have different theories.
We're trying to tell you the different theories and narratives that people have by what they've concluded, trying to fill in the gaps.
Well, you're not telling me, you're telling everybody.
Well, no, Nicole Atkinson, she did lie. I mean, there's proof that she lied.
And why did she ask?
But nobody knows why.
Right.
Nobody knows why.
The first thing she asks is, am I going to get arrested? Why? Why would you get arrested? For what?
We don't understand.
Why give the screenshots of your son's phone to the cops rather than your own screenshots? And why was, her, supposedly they were just best friends. She doesn't know how old she is. Supposedly in the phone, it says mom's work. It doesn't say Shanann or, bestie, or it says mom's work. I mean, there's just Lost Puppy. There are so many unanswered questions that just don't make sense, and that it seems like somebody's trying to cover up something somewhere. What? We don't know.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
That web sleuthers prevailed. Look at Don't F with Kitties, like that show on Netflix where Lucas Magnotta and it was the web sleuths who exposed him for what it was. So people are smarter than they give us credit for, and we struggle because we're only working with what we have, and the discovery in itself is redacted, it's not completed, and there's many things that don't add up and line up. So all these different theories and narratives are the best people have based on what we know are facts at this
But
point.
at the end of the day, and you guys hate, I'm gonna beat this like a dead horse. Wisconsin, that's all I can say.
The thing is, people make false confessions all the time.
They do.
I-
Central Park
and I don't know
5, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't know if the first one was right or the 263rd one was right. You know what I mean? Because he's changed his story so
Yeah,
many
he does.
times. I guess my thinking is, at this point, you just kind of have to sit back and see what comes to fruition or what comes to light. You can have something in your head, but it also seems like, something's going to come along, a couple days later, even a couple hours later, that kind of will change your mind. So you can't say for sure that yours is right,
Right,
And
exactly.
why would law enforcement even let all that be released? Let 3 different
Right.
quote unquote confessions. I mean, Wisconsin wasn't a confession. It wasn't a signed legal confession.
It was a
But
story
why
that he
release all
told.
that stuff? All it is
But he
confusing
still
everybody.
gave gruesome
Right.
details.
And I
I
agree
don't-
with you,
that
Love
doesn't
Puppy.
matter.
I do struggle with that, so I'll give him the credit there. I couldn't imagine, if you want to just take the rap, that's one thing. I did it, just
Right, you can just say,
sentence
"I
me,
did it,"
I'll sit in a
that's it.
jail cell. But what I can't imagine, whether he was given a letter or reciting a memory or not, I'm thinking about being a parent, in the situation that I did not kill my child, to be able to go into such horrific detail. I couldn't even be able to say those words now while
After-
imagining my own child.
After
Mhm.
sitting in isolation for 3 months, with no access to anybody for 23 hours a day for 3 months, after having your life threatened and blah blah blah. I mean, I still don't think he's in a mentally, obviously not in a mentally healthy place. And they honestly, if they wanted to get to the truth, they should have had him be talking to a psychologist and working this stuff out in
Oh
their,
yeah, he should have been
in his head.
evaluated from the day he
Right.
walked in.
Well, his mistake
Right.
was agreeing
before-
to the
No,
polygraph.
because if I'm talking right, but I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off, Lost Puppy, because if law enforcement, not us even, if law enforcement truly wanted to know the truth, he should have been working with somebody to uncover whatever happened that night,
Right, 'cause
instead
he's
of letting
almost
him just sit in
detached.
fucking
Most
isolation.
law enforcement don't care about knowing the truth. If for them, if the pieces make sense, they just want to close out the case and move on to the next one.
But
And then what
before his
happens if they
plea
don't make
deal-
sense?
They
That's
did
how it
want to
works.
close this case very quickly for one
Before
reason or
his-
another.
Mhm. Before his plea deal, he was supposed to be, have a psych eval. He did not.
Correct.
And that's basically with any case you plead to, you're supposed to have that ahead of time. He just stood up in court and said that he agreed to everything. But if you look at him, he agrees to everything anyway. He's like, in
Right,
his
right.
life, he was led, somebody in his life told him what to do, how to do it all the time. So with these people being displeased with him and him having a hard time in jail or whatnot, if they made it so bad for him, he's like, well, I just need to say that I did this. That's exactly what he did.
So I can get somewhere and just be alone and not have to
Right.
deal with all this bullshit.
Right. Whether he did it or not, it's just he was gonna agree to anything. He's so agreeable. That's the
I mean,
problem.
I asked this question down in chat, and I'll ask it again now up on panel, and everyone could go through and answer it. If Chris acquired a lawyer from get-go, from the very beginning, and they went to trial, do you believe Chris would still be sitting behind the bars in jail
Well,
today?
That's
Yeah.
what I
Cooter.
just said. His mistake was not confessing.
Well, that's
taking the
not what
polygraph.
that's not what I'm
No, I
asking
know. I'm
hypothetically.
gonna answer your question.
If he, but I wasn't even starting with you, Lost Puppy. I was starting with Cooter. So, Cooter, if you think he acquired a lawyer from the very beginning and did not speak based on what they had, do you think he'd be sitting behind bars today?
A lot of it's circumstantial. I would say it probably will be close, but he might end up like Casey Anthony getting off or acquitted. Because they only had circumstantial, they didn't really have DNA holding him there.
Well, Scott Peterson is all circumstantial too. I think it's
Right.
whether it's reasonable doubt or not. There was no, obviously people didn't think Scott Peterson, there was any reasonable doubt that he didn't kill his wife.
Right.
So there has to be reasonable doubt with the facts that are presented.
Right. I don't think he would have went to jail. I think
You don't,
Well,
Brooke?
I don't either.
I don't think he would have went
There's no
based on
proof,
what we've seen.
right?
Right. And then
What about?
the
Sorry.
the girls in the autopsy, they didn't find any fibers, as far as we know. You know, as far as him saying that he smothered, he said that one baby was smothered. He said one was strangled, and then he said he strangled Shanann. But I'm gonna throw something else out here. I don't know if Lost Puppy has seen. Oh, is he gone? Oh, he's gone. I look at a channel. I like her a lot. You know, her chat's real cool, real easy. They're looking at the autopsy about, you know, the crime scene and how she was buried, how she was found, and the state of rigor she was in. The state of rigor kind of changed my mind. It flipped everything I thought I knew, like, on its head. You know what I mean? Like, well, maybe it happened this way. You know, she had been supposedly there since Monday morning, but the way her body was found, it was, I can't remember if it's like muscle, large muscle to small muscle or vice versa, but basically it would put her body being put there possibly late Tuesday, even early Wednesday, or either just to say let's just say Tuesday for that matter. So if that's the case, he couldn't have been responsible for burying her or maybe even her death. That's the thing, that if they always throw something confusing out there, and it's just so much stuff floating around that makes you question everything. I can't clearly say, you know, that he did everything or he didn't do anything. That's where I am, you know, because it's a state of confusion. What I would like is like truth and facts, and everybody to stop lying, because everybody lied in this case, except for, I'll say it, Jeremy Lindstrom and Betty across the street. And, you know, that's two people out of like a bunch of people that, you know, told the truth versus everybody else. So it's just not like, you know, that they lied. It's just, my question, I think deeper, is like, why did they lie? You know, and I think also you had a good point, Melissa, about victimology and criminology. When you talk about that kind of stuff, it upsets people, because basically people are like, oh, Chris Watts is a monster, Shanann was a saint. No, I like to think that both of them were somewhere in the middle, because nobody's a saint, you know. And Chris Watts did not seem to be a monster. Could he have had something inside of him that was brought out? Possibly. We don't know. So, you know, to label people in this whole thing, to me, is kind of crazy, because there's so much we don't know. So many rabbit holes. And it's just, you know, it is crazy. But like I said, the whole Tuesday thing totally flipped, you know, one of my foremost theories. You know, it kind of tossed it down to number 3 or 4, you know. And like you said, everything, your theories can change from day to day. If you subjectively look at this case, you know, and with, you know, the whole victimology and criminology thing, it sounds cold, but you kind of have to take your feelings out of it so that you have a clear mind to kind of look at things and also relate them to what you think makes sense. And there's a lot of stuff here that just does not make sense of what we're being told. And that's just my opinion.
No, Law Force definitely dropped the ball on this. There's definitely should have been a lot more information that we have that we don't have. So again, that's why I'm excited for the 35C when he does file it. So hopefully we'll get some more information and have a better picture of what actually happened that night.
And I think it's easier now. I mean, but I can't even imagine 2 years ago when like the Trailblazer, you know, channels came out and went against the narrative and were immediately attacked.
Yep.
And, you know, and seriously by, you know, SW's family, and when Frank flew out to Colorado and stood in front of the house and said, you know, please stop, you know, we're getting death threats, this and that. Really? Like who I don't even know who was doing all that. I don't know that they were being quote unquote tortured and harassed and sent to death. Who does that? Who did do that? I never saw any of that.
I don't, you know, I wasn't, you know, I was just, you know, of course I wasn't, I knew that when the case happened, but as far as like some of the other, you know, after events. I don't understand why anybody would do that to her family. I don't
Right.
see.
Who?
Yeah, I don't that doesn't make sense. You know, maybe there's some
Right,
crazy
because
people
like,
that were doing it, but I don't see why in the world anybody would
but
do that.
right, and they said it was on social media too. And the thing is that really back then, 98% of social media was just going with the narrative. And if, God forbid, if you went against it,
Mhm.
then you were attacked by that side that, you know, saying, don't you talk about her this way, and don't you,
Right.
you know,
Right. And can I ask you a
bring
question,
this up,
Lisa?
because
Because I didn't, because certain things have always confused me. When as far as Shanann committing suicide, do you think it, you know, with the theory of that, are they saying that she took like some like medication to kill herself and it just wasn't present in autopsy, or how
I'm
exactly?
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I have to go put my kid to bed. So I'm gonna hop down
Oh.
into the chat. But love you guys. Thank you for having me up.
Thanks for coming on.
Hi, Melissa.
Of course.
Bye.
Of course. Keep talking, girls. You're doing great, Cooter.
Thank you.
You see,
I mean, I
never,
saw it on
Uh-huh.
straight up Blowing Minds
uh-huh.
had the video that just explained it from like beginning to end, how she would have committed suicide.
Okay, I didn't see that
Did you?
part. I do remember him like the positioning over the toilet, and then like possibly
Yep.
the sediment in the toilet, but I didn't understand what he was saying, that if she like took something or not. So that's my question basically.
Yeah, like if she overdosed, if she and then, you know, was puking into the toilet or whatever, and you know, died over the toilet, which I don't know, but you know, Kim Kaufman, then she explains it differently, why she was in that position. But my God, if that video didn't explain her position,
Mhm.
I don't know what did. I mean, just the way the toes, you know, like when you're on your knees and your
Right.
feet are bent the way that they are,
Mhm.
and you know, her arm over her head, which
Mhm.
would have been, you know, on the toilet,
Mhm.
and the fact that the toilet had no water in it, which there's that huge video where they're just like, how come there's no water in the toilet? You know, the people
Right.
with the flashlight.
Right.
And then
Mhm.
the which I had looked up, because people were like, why wouldn't there be water in the toilet? And you know, yeah, you can shut it off and this and that, but there's also shoot, because I remember, oh gosh darn it, I remember like I was looking up, you know, I just like Googled
Right.
why wouldn't there be water in a toilet or something, and I don't know, supposedly if something's like backed up like in the pipes, you know, in the wall or underground or whatever, and they never even like even though they were so concerned about there not being water in the toilet,
Mhm.
and the bathroom was locked, which was weird too,
Right.
because it was their bathroom.
Mhm.
So was it locked because I don't know why, but anyways, they didn't even like to search the pipes to see like what was in there.
Right.
If there was a clog, was the water shut off or was it clogged? I mean, why would you do that?
Right.
It doesn't make sense, you know?
I looked up the toilet thing too, because I remember like we were having work done in the house and it was a plumbing issue. So of course they had to cut the water off. And they were like, yeah, each toilet has 2 flushes after you shut the water off. So I was like trying to dig around after that 2 flushes. Do you still have a little bit of water, or, you know, is there like no water? It's weird what kind of rabbit holes this case will kind of send you out and make you question.
Right, because
Like,
it,
yeah,
you know, because it's like, is it a tank issue or is it just
right.
shutting it off? I mean, you know, nobody, and the thing is like, yeah, so here we are, lay people. I'm not a plumber, you know,
Mhm.
and I just, you know, you read certain things and you're just, so that's all you can go off of it. It would be nice.
Mhm.
Weirdo things, like it would be nice to have an explanation. Hey, Chris,
Right.
did you shut the water off?
Right.
Did you guys check the pipes? Did she clog the pipes with her throw up? I mean, you know,
Right.
like
And
what's going on? Go ahead. Or
and
did
when
something get flushed down there?
right. And then like when he came in the house, the cops were trying to open the door to the bathroom.
And it was locked.
It was locked because the key was in his pocket. Is that right? Or did he
Was
reach
it up above the door, or was it in his? I think it was above. I think he had the key to the girls' rooms in his pocket.
in his pocket, and the
Yeah.
other one was above the door. Okay. Because I was, you know,
The bathroom key.
I was confusing the keys. So I'm like, what, you know, what did he have? What he didn't have? Right. It's just
What? Why is everybody's doors locked in that house? I mean, that's weird too.
yeah. I said that. I think when I came up here with Cooter the last time, I was like, you know, people had like really rude comments when, you know, I'm just sharing my opinion. I'm not saying I'm an expert in anything. I'm just, you know, like everybody else. But like my question, you know, it was just your mind goes kind of everywhere. And I know I had talked about on the with Scooter last time, you know, them closing the kids in the room. And but then on one video they showed a gate. So I'm like, why didn't they just, you know, until the kids went to sleep, kept the door closed, and then when they, you know, woke up or when they were still asleep or when they went to sleep, open the door back up and still had the little gate in front, so they didn't have to worry about somebody getting out of bed and going down the stairs.
I mean,
I couldn't close my door or his door. I couldn't do it because I want to hear what's going on.
honestly,
Yeah.
right. No matter if you have monitors or not. I mean, and that was another thing. Like, they not only had monitors, they had cameras, like filming. So, like, where's all that stuff? Why was this happening? Why did they have, you know, people say, what were they were they protecting the girls from Shanann? Who knows? Why were the kids locked in their bedrooms? That's messed up. I mean, I have 2 kids. I never, ever, ever would shut their bedroom door. I mean, you want that open.
And people,
you know, even if it wakes you up at night.
People do different things with their kids, which I can respect, but I just, from the kids' point of view, I can only speak to me. You know what I'm saying? But it's just, you know, different things make you ponder a lot of different stuff, and it makes your head kind of wander into places you don't want to go to. You know, and you know, I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody. You know, everybody has their opinion.
Right, but what else can you do when you're not given? And this was what Melissa was saying. When they don't give you what happened, you can only like start surmising, you know, and wondering, and your mind does go off. And because as a mother, and everybody does things different, but like with Lost Puppy, you start thinking to yourself, well, shoot, I would never lock my kid in their room. Like, what if there was a fire?
Right.
You know, what if
that was my
what if they needed
number
you?
one thought. Yeah. And
or if they were crying, if they were, what if they were choking? I mean, and you were jiggling the key, you can't get in their room. You know,
anything could happen in a second that you're sitting there messing with the lock, you know, and it's just
and if they had a propensity to sleep with pillows and blankets all over their heads. I'm being sarcastic. What were you going to say, Cooter? I'm sorry.
Yeah, my ex-wife, she did that, had like locks to lock the kids, and I don't exactly agree with that. I think it's pretty cruel.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Because
they're little, you know. It's not like they're like preteens that can, you know, lock you out of their room, you know. You know, a lot of parents, like I said, they're teenagers, they take the door off the hinges because they don't want their kids locking the door, you know what I mean, and closing the door. So it's and you're not shading Shanann or Chris, but a lot of stuff went on in that house that he could have stopped. At some point in time, you know, you said that he was abused male, but it seemed like at one point in time he would, you know, put his foot down and say, you know, this isn't going to happen this way, or that's not going to happen this way, you know. And
well, I think with abuse, though, abuse though is so slow. They, you know, abusers. I mean, my father was an abuser, a terrible abuser, and you know, it's little by little by little by little. They push you just a hair each time. What more are you going to take every time? You know what I mean? And before you know it, you're abused and you can't leave. I mean, that's how I saw it with my parents. I mean, my mother, it took her 18 years to leave my father. And I mean, it was a nightmare, but you know, they are so, I mean, I can't understand because I'm not sociopathic and I'm not an abuser, but I mean, I just from how it affected me and my father's abuse towards me and watching my father's abuse towards my mother, just how they browbeat, and not even physically, but, you know, manipulate you like emotionally and mentally and financially. And, you know, I don't know how he did it, you know, where he got to the point where, you know, my mother felt trapped to stay with him. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And I
don't know how that happens.
Yeah, Cooter thinks, I guess his theory is that like he snapped. And I can see that too. But my question to that is, how did he do all this in that short amount of time? You know what I mean? If he did this by himself, that's another
true.
thing. It's like you want justice for, the victims, but you should want complete justice, not just Chris sitting in jail if there are other people involved.
Right.
That's
Right. Because I mean, that could happen to anybody. That could happen to any man, any woman
right.
who's just railroaded into sitting in prison for the rest of their life. And that
Mhm.
has happened before. Or people, we found him innocent, and they get released, when they're freaking 65 years old or something, and they got 5 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
That is
a
that's a life
travesty.
sentence. Right. Exactly. Or that you sit there for 20, 25 years, and then, they made the mistake, and then they want to give you a couple 100,000. No, you pissed your whole
Right.
life away sitting in jail for something you did
Right.
not
And
do.
you can't, right. And then you have such a hard time, like, even adjusting to outside life that, I mean, so many times, like, a lot of people just want to go back in because after 20, 25 years of,
Right.
you stand in line, you have to do, this is when you go to the bathroom, this is when you eat, this is when you do that, lights out, you don't even know how to, like, live life anymore,
Right. Yeah, like
Um,
just normal kind of stuff, like get up, put your clothes on. In jail, you're
right.
told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. That's why, I kind of think, there's so many conflicting stories whether he wants his 35C or not. He may well, may not want this 35C because of the fact that, his life is going to change again, possibly. He's
Yeah.
fine with somebody telling him what to do, how to do it, when to do it. He went from
Yep.
his mom's house, and the thing is, he had a period in his life that he did just fine on his own before he got married.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There was that middle period where his mom and dad weren't telling him what to do. To when he got married, he had responsibilities, but he had a wife that was, running the show. He didn't have to, basically she told him, what to do. Step by step. And I'm not, like I
Right.
said,
Down
I'm
to,
not trying to bash the woman, but he had
no, it's
very little.
obvious from her post.
Yeah, he had, this is just criminology, victimology. She told him, she kind of directed things, and he just kind of went along with it happily. So to Lynn,
Right. Down to
Cooter's point,
when they had sex, and it wasn't, and she treated him almost like a dog, in that it wasn't like, oh, I want to have sex. It's like, well, I took a shower tonight. He should have known I wanted sex. What the hell is that? Like, that's like Pavlovian, oh, you hear this noise and you're supposed to do this. The fuck? That's terrible.
It's like, all I can say is I don't know what was going on in that house, but it was those poor babies. That's all I can say.
Yes.
It was just, it was,
yes.
You don't know what exactly is what. You don't know what's what because everyone's trying to cover up, or they flip their story, or they don't want to say anything. But the thing is, they know, but they're not gonna, they're not gonna share that because that's gonna put the victim in a bad light, and it shouldn't be that way. And I think they've worked so hard to put her up on a pedestal. But the thing is, she was a real person. She was not.
But if she was that perfect, you wouldn't have to work so hard to put her up there. Do you know what I mean?
And nobody should feel that they have to live up to that either, and just like I don't know if you saw I'm sure you did, the Dr. Phil interview where Frankie Jr. says that she made $500,000 a year,
right?
And I know, and she was 25, and like, what if that's that they kind of looked up to her, or they treated her better because of that? How hard or how stressful would that have been for her to try to keep up that type of facade?
I know. Like, I've said the same thing. They're doing it to her even in death. They're holding her up to something that she can't live up to.
Right. That is very rough. So we don't, there's a lot we don't know, and we'll probably never know. But I think the truth eludes a lot of people in the case, and I think that, they want to, cover up different things. I think they should have just left it at, she was, we loved, she was our daughter. She was, a wife, mother, hard worker, whatever they wanted to say within that realm. But as far as, making, putting her up, above, how they're doing, it's not feasible. It's not logical. I think you should look at yourself and just, don't try to deify a person. You know what I mean? Don't, just, she was a regular person and something tragic happened. I think if people started working with the truth, it would be a
Right.
lot easier to kind of, bring things together and, and maybe find a cohesive theory, because all we have right now are bits and pieces and they don't make sense no matter how you try to arrange it.
Put it together, right.
Yeah, my only
Well, and then-
theory, I've got three. The only theory that I can think of that solely, I can't think of one that really involves solely Christopher Watts. That's the thing. It's like,
right.
my thing is, if, okay, maybe I can see him, he's, he has this thing with NK. If he's been with her for, a couple weeks, or even if it goes back a couple months, I don't see why anybody would kill their entire family because of that. But if he was just with her those couple weeks, was he liberated enough to be like, you know what, the hell with everything, I want to kill my family? It's like, that doesn't make sense. But we don't know what his psyche is or what his psyche was. It's just, and if he had help, who helped him and who would be willing to help him? For, if Shanann got killed or all of them somehow died in a tragedy, we're looking at what, $450,000. It seems like a lot more people would have to be involved to split that amount of money. If there was something bigger planned, because a lot of people look at the explosion theory, that money would have come if they were able to pull it off. But that money wasn't going to be right away money, But who's going to be willing to kill children for that amount of money? That's the question I have, because it wasn't going to be a lot of money all of a sudden. It was going to be caught up in, lawsuits and, what have you, unless, the oil companies settle right away.
Right.
It's a lot, and a lot of things just don't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I don't think conspiracy theory, which I think people slap conspiracy onto a lot of things, but
Right.
thinking that anything had to do with, blowing up Anadarko, that's conspiracy, because that involves.
Right. I'm just, you hear it all the time.
No, I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think usually in life things are a lot simpler than, people make them out to be.
Right.
But I mean, I know I was going to say, with holding Shanann up, the thing is too, though, is that she also thought that of herself, because she said in her text, I do 90% more than all of the women out there. So she thought of herself pretty highly if she thinks she did 90% more than, she didn't say mother, she didn't say wife, she said women. So she was herself a little bit deluded. And then you had said something else. Oh, yeah. And I think also the reason that, say, perhaps they're painting her in a different light, maybe sort of with rose-colored glasses in a way. The only thing that I think of that is because then if you look at Shanann, then you have to look at her why. Like, why did she become the way she became? And that's going to stem back to whatever happened in her childhood. And, there's rumors, alcoholism and bipolar and, blah, 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 blah. I mean, there's suicide. Her cousin committed suicide.
Oh, I didn't know
there's
that.
mental health. Yeah, Shanann had, an arrest record, a foot long. Frankie's got a felony child abuse thing against him. I mean, so there's a lot of skeletons, I think, on that side too. And I don't think that people want, but the thing is that they made such a big noise about it that it made people look more into it and easily look up arrest records. And I mean,
because like if they,
jeez,
it was a, an absolute terrible tragedy, a mother and her children, and, she was, her, being pregnant. It was awful. But I think all the extra noise around it caused people to be even more attracted to the case, let alone how on the outside they look to be like the picture perfect family, and they they looked like they belonged on like a magazine cover, or I don't want to say cereal box,
a Thrive magazine cover.
Yeah, magazine cover. That's how they look. And I think, had they let it ride just without putting out all those stories and, of this, that, and the other, it might have just, died down and just
gone away.
A little Lifetime movie, maybe. It wouldn't have been a Netflix documentary. It wouldn't be all this craziness on YouTube, because it is crazy. Everybody, if you look at it, everybody has talked to Chris Watts. Everybody gets letters and yada yada
Well,
yada.
what's
I don't really
crazy
care
too,
about that.
what's
It's
crazy
about
too is I think that they really thought that the Netflix documentary was going to help in some way to
no,
quiet people down. Right. But all it did was now even more people are questioning it,
right. That's exactly. It
you
was
know?
I don't. I mean,
But that's how, because that's how ridiculous that they're trying to make her look when she left her own legacy out there. She did it. You know, and maybe, geez, if you believe in things, in the universe and this, maybe she did it, because why was she even doing that?
I don't
Why
know.
was she even doing that? How did she think that the things that she put on Facebook were okay? Because they weren't,
hmm And my first
you know?
thought about that was like, well, maybe she's, putting it up there for her family, But it was more stuff I watched. Like, it's clearly, she's talking to like other people doing her products. It's like, okay, well, it's part of her job. But it was a lot. It was for Netflix barely had to do any work to tell the story because they had it all. It was all recorded, on her.
But it was
Insta-
one-sided too. But it's
right, it
funny because
was.
even though it was supposed to be like her side, it made people question, just like us,
Mhm.
made people question like something ain't right with there with her,
It's like I didn't, I had, like I said, I had heard of this story and I did see the, Netflix doc, but I had, followed in between, but not as much as I look at the stuff on YouTube now. But you hear like different stuff from different sides, and everybody can't be right and everybody can't be wrong. But there are things that make you think about Chris Watts, what went on in his life, Shanann, what happened in her life, and then you see, looking at Shanann's videos, like you said, it's an onslaught that was supposed to be positive and put her into a positive light, but it makes you question, a lot of different things. You're not thinking that, yeah, he should have did it, but you're like, I think with me, I'm questioning like, what in the world, how much time, it just was like, I don't know how to even put it into words. It's just, it was a lot. So you have to kind of just step back and be like, I can't even deal with this. I'm sorry that, everything happened the way it did. But I'm at a point you can't wrap your head around it. It's just like, it's too much.
right. Right. And
Seriously.
it's not even how much she was online. It was well, never mind the fact that what they said, there's over 200,000 texts she had in her phone. But it was the content. It was what she was willing to show, how she treated her kids, how she treated her husband. And obviously she thought it was okay. And if she thought it was okay even though she was only getting 3, 4, 5 likes, I mean, it also wasn't as, she didn't have the audience that they like to portray her as having. It still was out there. I mean, and I was starting to think, maybe she had to film this like for CPS or something to show that like she wasn't, I don't even know, because, Colorado.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello?
Lisa. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
you were getting a little spotty there. You were cutting
Oh,
out a
I
little
know.
bit.
I'm gonna lose I'm getting close to, what's it called? No battery. But yeah, it's just very odd. And if she thought that was okay to put that out there, you can only imagine what was going on when her phone wasn't on. This is what I
Right.
think about.
I always question,
And
I
how
know,
sad,
like I said, I always have lots
that
of
was.
questions.
Yeah.
The whole CPS thing, because it's into discovery. I didn't, because like I don't know how the CPS stuff is supposed to work. I had a friend that actually was looking into different things of the case, and I don't know how true it is. I guess if she had a CPS case in Colorado, she had to also contact CPS in North Carolina. Is that correct?
Right. To tell them that she was going there, because a lot of people think that Chris was the primary caregiver, that she was only allowed alone with them for a certain amount of time during the day, like maybe an hour, hour and a half or something like that.
Mhm.
because even when she was on camera and she looked like she was alone, sometimes you would catch people like in the background. Like a lot of times her mother was there, even though you thought she was alone. And all the times of how many people lived there for long lengths of time, like her parents were there for 15 months. Her brother was there for a month. Christina was there for, what was it, 3 months. Who else was there? Oh, I don't know. We just had so many people living in and out of their house. Have you ever read the blog, The Curious Case of the Watts Family or something like that?
I haven't.
Okay, because that document, which somebody put together, shows the case for there being a CPS case against her, and it's
Right.
compelling. It's compelling.
I
She
didn't.
spells, whoever wrote it spells it out. So you might want to try, if you Google that, I think it's just called The Curious Case of the Watts or something like that. It's unbelievable. She like breaks down like all their text messages, like between her and her friends, the stuff that she was writing on Facebook about the in-laws, telling, Chris how they were evil. I don't know. It just spells a lot of things out, and it just makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So check.
Right. The thing with the in-laws, I think when you're looking at the end of your marriage, you kind of want to be on your best behavior when you go, you're going like the whole North Carolina thing. You kind of, I don't even know what in the world blew that whole situation up. And then for it to happen. And I know that she posted all the stuff on to Facebook, but this is where I'm probably going to get comments in Cooter's comments. I'm not trying to bash the girl, but what I'm saying is you're going to North Carolina and you want to save your marriage. But if you're trying to save your marriage, you don't do the stuff that you do to the parents. You kind of walk the line, while you're there, if you know what I mean, Lisa. And it just seems like it was like a big blow up, and I don't, and you hear just Cindy Watt's side of it, of course, but it doesn't sound intentional to me. It just seems like the little girl, a child had some ice cream and she got close to the baby that had the allergy, and like because of that, like all hell broke loose. That's what I got.
Actually, no. What it was there was the separate ice creams, and the one, because the cousins were there, Jamie's son and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So the son, I think it was the son, whatever, went and got the ice cream, which was in a cup, and then Cece threw a fit, was like, I want ice cream in a cup. I want ice cream in a cup.
Mm-hmm.
So really, Cece and Bella had their own ice cream, and they either, if that wasn't good enough for them, I mean, how a 2-year-old is, and this kind of just goes to show that Shanann didn't know how to deal with children, because if she wanted ice cream in a cup, what I would do is I would have gotten one of those cups, emptied it out, put Cece's ice cream in that cup, and say, "Here you go, honey." Or
right.
you
Like
do something.
Like
you don't.
Yeah, you pretend to kind of fool
Right.
Cece that she's got the same ice cream. I get it. Yeah.
Right. You do something, but you don't, run after your mother-in-law and say, "Oh, how dare you," or something, whatever. But the thing is that it's interesting, because if you read like her messages afterwards, what it boiled down to, in my eyes, because a lot of her messages were about the grandparents, in her eyes, perceiving them to love Jamie's children more than hers, to pay attention to them more. I think she was, she was only spending, I think, a weekend there or something. I think she got butt hurt because Jamie's kids were there, and she wanted her kids and herself to be doted on, the center of attention. And I think she was just jealous of the other kids. You know what I mean? Like, she wanted Bella and Cece, where Bella and Cece didn't care about that. They were happy to be with their niece and nephew. I mean, with their cousins.
And to play with somebody else besides each other, right? I get that. Yeah.
Right. They're family. But if you look at her messages, like about to Chris and to her friends, and she makes it all about like loving the other kids more, and about posting oh, they're not posting memories on Facebook of our kids like they are. I mean, just
Mhm.
that's
It's like a
dumb.
competition or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just, it's mind boggling, and it's just like to go back to the, Chris being, I don't, domestic abuse or what have you, whether it was mental or physical. I think it just wasn't a healthy situation for anybody involved. I think it was toxic.
no,
And I think,
yes,
to go back from the very beginning, you brought up, North Carolina and, criminal record or what have you, because we know the criminal record has been wiped, so we don't know what that was about. But I think, they live
which
in a
one?
small, right. I know. They live in a small area.
Right.
It's no way in the world that if she was named in an embezzlement or whatever, that Cindy Watts hadn't seen her name somewhere, that
Right.
either on the news, in the paper, where have you. And then her son is introducing this woman as his girlfriend. Of course, she's not going to have warm and fuzzies for her at first, and then, it's just not going to happen. She's going to be looking at her differently,
Right. I mean, because her son had kind of like a normal, just kind of like, oh, went to high school, graduated, went to car
Right.
school, got an apartment,
Right.
and she's got like, a first marriage. She's got embezzlement. She's got the affair with the boss. She's like starts out as a nanny with the boss and becomes, step by step by step, all of a sudden she's a co-owner. I mean, how does that
Mhm.
happen? She's got $500,000 in a suitcase that she buys the house. I mean, there's like all these crazy stories, and Chris is just sort of bland, and
Right.
she's got like
Wasn't it 20
a
though?
wild.
Wasn't it 20 for the down payment, but the house was like a $500,000 or something like that? I can't remember the
Yeah,
numbers. She had a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. So you have to think about, even,
I
people
don't.
that are listening to Cooters Live, like think about if it's your son and this, she's introduced to you. So you're not going to have questions. You're not going to have
And then
apprehensions.
what
I don't
is?
think anybody's going to say they're not.
And then
I
she
don't care
said
how fair
the
she tried
first
to
time,
be. Mhm.
right? And then the first time they met, she said, "Oh, when we get to your mom's house, tell her that I'm 40 years old." And he's like, "Why?" She's like, "Oh, well, it'll be funny. Just see what she says." I mean, just weird stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, she had a colorful background,
Mhm.
and I would be concerned for my son too.
Right.
And if she did indeed, I don't think she was making 500,000, but if she did indeed have a lot of cash on hand, well,
Where
if
did it
she's
come from?
doing, you know,
Right.
yeah, I'd be
Yeah.
concerned too. And then, his life savings disappearing within a matter of months, her quitting her job a couple weeks after they start dating, and now he's paying her mortgage.
Right.
He's got to sell his muscle car. He's got to, oh, you go out to Colorado for 6 months and stay with my best friend in their basement while I stay here. Because why? You gotta wonder about that. That's kind of a weird situation too, you know?
Definitely shady.
Have to,
Yeah.
everybody wants to condemn the Watts family, but you have to see their side of it too. And like you said,
Oh yeah, no,
nobody's perfect, right? Nobody is perfect. So it's just, as a mother, I would be questioning the hell out of my son. Like, are you sure you want to do this? What
yeah,
is going
no,
on?
and
Right. And it's just,
nobody's good enough. Whether it's your son or your daughter, the other person is not good enough for them. And I went through the same thing with my son, and I was just like thinking, oh my God, please don't marry her. It's just like,
right.
why
And
don't you wait for a while?
right. And it's human nature to want to protect your kids, whether you're a son,
Right.
you got a son, daughter, or you're a father with a daughter. Like I know my dad, hey, he's like, first thing he says, I'm a gun owner. So it's just like, of course, it's just
Yeah.
human kind of nature to question. But the thing is, people give the Watts a hard time, a very hard time, but they forget there's a whole period in there when after, I guess, when she got pregnant with Bella, which wasn't too far after they got married, they were there,
Right.
for the birth of the baby. And they had been there for close to almost 4.5, 5 years. They were buying her Thrive. They were listed under her. So to paint
Yeah.
like these were just awful people that did not like Shanann, it's not true. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not.
And what they're trying to do now is they're in my eyes, they're just, they're desperate for answers. They want to know what happened that night. Was somebody else involved?
like
They want to
just like
know.
everybody else, they want to know.
They
Yeah.
want to know.
Oh,
And
most certainly.
he's telling he's writing all these women that get, they jump on YouTube or wherever and they tell these stories. They show these letters of Chris, supposedly of Chris's or whatnot. They're adding to the confusion. That's how I see
Yep.
it. And these people are
Yep.
desperate. So therefore, they're looking to whoever's going to help them. And right now, it's Lana. Lana's the one that came up with the timeline. Lana, like I said, I give credit. I know people are pissed with Lana, and what she did was disrespectful, but let it go. She actually
Right.
sat down with the timeline and she figured stuff out. Other people only
Yep.
reported on the discovery. Nobody took the time to
Yep.
decipher what it actually meant. Because I know it's a
Yep.
discovery. You see all these calls. Okay. Blah, 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 blah.
But what does it mean?
Exactly.
But what does it mean?
Exactly. Everybody got the same information when it came to that, but nobody took the time to break it apart. And she did.
No, I respect Lana.
Exactly. I respect that. I respect the hell out of that because, it had like the whole, the dressing up Shazam, whatever, people have to
cares?
compartmentalize. People have to compartmentalize. Okay. Yes, it was disrespectful, but get over it. She brought something to the case. She brought
Yep.
something helpful to the case. People
Yep.
don't like it because it made NA look in a different light. No, I don't think she
Right.
killed
And
anybody.
I don't understand.
Right.
I don't understand why people are saying like that anybody's accusing NA of anything but
No,
lying.
no,
People are
right.
like, oh well, are you accusing her of committing? No,
No,
she's not involved in the murder, but she has lied. Why did you lie? That's all you want to know is
right.
why.
Yeah, because I know she said she was in the house, but if she went in the house, she was concerned about her friends. So what? The only thing I will say about NA about her lies, my number one question is, did she witness something, or did she see
Right.
somebody in there and she's afraid? That's the only reason, I would look, at NA for any reason that, not as far as committing the murder, no, but does she know something? Is she scared for something? She's scared for her family. When the
Right.
police
Something's-
got there, she was cool, but if she caught a glimpse of somebody, you know what I mean? It's just, what did she see? What else does she know?
I don't particularly care for the thing that I didn't like about her was I didn't care for, and this I believe was like Shanann. I mean, I didn't care for the way she treated Chris because at the time she didn't know he was, if in fact he is a murderer, that he murdered anybody, and she treated him like a piece of dirt, like everybody else does, and that bothered me because she had no right to demand Chris to come home. She had no right to demand Chris to do anything in his own house, but yet she treated him very disrespectfully.
She knew what the status quo was. He was always treated that way. Everybody told him,
and
what
the
to do, how
girls
to
were
do it.
starting
Right.
to do that too, and that's terrible.
Because they're mimicking what they saw, sadly. You know. But the thing, and I will, I'll put this back on Chris. He had to, I know you say he was abused, okay.
He may be Asperger's though too. He may not understand people's like cues.
Yes,
or their the tone of their he may not understand people's tone of voice, the looks on their faces, so he may not even have perceived some of that stuff, although he did end up giving Nicole a funky look like, what are you doing, like, God, stop, back off,
right. And I know that because I always have just looking at him and how he kind of when he's being questioned and stuff, there's a point when he asks himself a question. He's not talking to anybody, he's talking to himself. And I have a sibling that suffers from Asperger's autism. He does that, and he doesn't realize he's doing that. He doesn't realize we can hear him, so I do know that aspect of it. And I know Tammy Lee, actually, she did an interview, I think after it was on Oxygen, where she started in the interview, she rubs his back. If he has autism or Asperger's,
don't like that.
They do not like that. It's a stimulation. It's a trigger for them. And she was wrong as 2 left feet for doing that because she said she knew he had some type of issue. So she was wrong in doing that. And that pissed me off because of my brother. You know what I mean? So if you know that, don't sit there and do that to somebody. That's awful.
Right.
It really is.
Well, and the thing is, people with Asperger's too. Like I've read up a lot about that because there's the R. Kelly case is going on as well, and I think he might have a form of Asperger's or a form of autism because number one, people with Asperger's, they don't believe that other people can lie. They don't believe when somebody tells them something, they believe what they say at face value.
Right.
And then the second thing is that there's like all kinds of like Asperger's not support but advocate groups, because people with Asperger's also tend to get as adults tend to get taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Because
So
I know with my brother, my mom had to was trying to get I guess as they call it, power of attorney, or it's another
financial
term.
power of attorney. Yep.
It's
like financial power of attorney.
Like that, and it's something like, is it like guardianship? It's something like that. They call
conservator.
It different. They call it different things depending on your state. But she found out it would take different rights away from him. But still, she actually guards his, social security number, and she guards his debit card, so that people can't, go out there and, take advantage of him. He goes out with his friends because, like you say, he thinks people don't lie. People would not take advantage of him, despite everything we try to drill in his head. So
they can't differentiate that.
Right. If he's seeing, if that is how he is, he's taking everything everybody says at face value. Like if they were rubbing his back and telling him it's going to be okay, just tell us what happened. He was probably literally thinking it was going to be okay.
It'll be okay.
And he was taking, and I think in that when he in Colorado, he says, or basically about the confessions, that he took it because Tammy Lee put it out there. Yes, Tammy Lee put it out there, but he also took it because he didn't have anything else. You know what I mean? He didn't have any other, he couldn't mimic anything else. She put different stuff out there, but this is the only scenario that she put out there of a mother killing her babies. And he took that. So in his mind, he had to get real creative and make up something. I'm not saying he didn't do all of this or set this up. I'm just saying if he, indeed suffers from Asperger's, that puzzle piece does kind of fit, with him just kind of going with it, going with everything that his wife told him, even, up to the wedding. If you think back, I know that, Shanann had told him about, I guess, the different costs with the wedding and, the ring and all this other kind of stuff. It necessarily wasn't true. It could have been true. It could not have been true. He was just going to take her word. He was going to take anybody's word for anything they said. He couldn't, he could, I don't even know, like I said, if he could distinguish if somebody's pulling his leg or just being sarcastic. I think there was one, I can't remember it. You may know, Lisa. She told him to do something in a video. Like, I don't know if it was like tearing the tinfoil or something like that, but he literally like tore up the box. I can't remember what happened. I knew it was something like
roast.
That. He literally did it. He literally did it. So so it's just like there's a lot of factors here that we're working with, but you can't have tunnel vision in the case, because I don't like the tunnel vision. He's a monster. He needs to sit in jail. Okay, but you've got all this other stuff around here that says maybe he isn't, or maybe he's got issues. So it all needs to be looked into.
There's mitigating circumstances.
Absolutely. And I think people, I like that Cooter's up here letting us have this discussion. We're not being shut down because we're questioning different things. I think people need to keep an open mind, right?
Right, and you can tell when somebody's, I think just human nature, you can tell, like, a Ted Bundy, he's a monster. Richard Ramirez, monster. Chris Watts, not so much. I mean,
but we don't understand him. That's the thing.
But then when you put the mitigating, when you come to the conclusion of what some of the mitigating factors could have been, and you apply them, then you're like, okay, well, that makes sense now, and that makes sense now. Like you said, it's not black and white. It's not just he is a monster. No, there's a lot that goes into this, into what happened, what eventually happened.
Right, and you don't know who was putting what in his ear, and like I put into chat, everybody is screaming about NK. I don't know, but like, what if this lady didn't do anything? You know, I mean,
I
her,
don't think she did.
and if you know, if people are looking for her and this, that, and other, that's real.
It's
That's
horrible.
100% not fair. You know, we don't know if she had anything to do with it. I mean, I look back at her different. I guess she had a couple different interviews. They make me want to rip my hair out because she seems really like
Annoying.
yeah, you can't like NK. That's the whole thing. Her is her personality. But I mean, I had gotten some off of a Facebook group, some other information, and her father, because you know it's hard to listen to her voice. It drives me crazy actually. But he's kind of like feeding her what she did on Sunday. Okay, my question is, what is wrong with her that she can't articulate or she can't remember? Is something up with her? You know what I mean? Like Chris said she was
Right. Well,
bipolar.
they ask her a question and
Mhm.
she answers everything but. So maybe he was there. Maybe he was there too. Maybe she's got some sort of developmental delay,
Yeah, like
and
was yeah.
he was just guiding her, like keeping her focused. You know,
Right,
who knows? But
because
yeah, I think it's complete.
she does seem ADD on that, like on her interview. So I'm like, was that her father's purpose for that first one, to kind of keep her, you know, on track, you
Focused.
know, and not to trip her own self up, because she's got the number to the investigator, calling him at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, her dad didn't know that she was calling those people with that extra information. I know he
Oh,
didn't,
I know.
because he would have been there or had a lawyer there for her, you know, to keep her on track and to keep her from answering certain questions. She could have, you know, very well, you know, they said she's intelligent, yes, but some people have
So is
book sense.
so is Chris.
Yes,
Chris is intelligent in
right,
certain things, but
in
they're not
certain
like
things.
emotionally intelligent, or
Right. They have
they're not.
book sense
Yeah,
versus common sense. Like we can
right,
kind of distinguish if somebody's asking us a leading question or a question to set us up for something. You know,
right.
perhaps that was his role. You know, no, I mean, they didn't let Ronnie sit in there with Chris the whole time. Not that I think Ronnie would have, you know, said anything, because I think that's just Ronnie's way. In some ways, Chris is the same way. You know,
Oh yeah.
Ronnie's gonna be quiet. He's not gonna rock the boat. And I know someone had said something about, they try to say that, you know, they knew that he was gonna do this and this, that, and the other. When Ronnie
They
found
didn't.
out, he didn't, because he was sitting there and Chris was telling him, he was like, Lordy, Lordy. And he's just a very quiet Southern man. That's what he is. There's
Yeah.
nothing, there's nothing there to say that, to even think that man was involved. Because if he was involved, when his son picked him up from that airport, they would have driven to a law office. They wouldn't have gone to the police department
Right.
if
That's
Ronnie
what
was
they should
involved.
have done in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, and it's funny though too, because Ronnie did said he wanted to get Chris an attorney, and they shuffled Ronnie. Oh yeah, yep, shuffled him out,
Mhm.
and that was the last he saw of Chris for like 6 months. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Until November, they didn't see him. It's his sentencing, or right
Yeah.
And
before
how
his
strange is
sentencing.
it that in the interview, there's cameras in those rooms, and usually if you watch like any of those, there's like tons of channels that have the
First 48.
interrogation room.
First 48.
Right.
Yes,
And
that's my show.
right. And the person is facing the camera, because when the investigators rewatch that, they want to look at body movements. They want to look at their facial reactions. Why was his back to the
To the wall.
camera?
Right, right. And it was a long interview, because if you look at the clock changes, so there's a lot in there that we don't see. And I think it was another can't remember who it was, but it was actually somebody in Cooter's chat that mentioned there was a reaction video where like Chris actually broke down, because we've never seen
So they
that.
left that out.
Yeah, they left that part out, right? So my question is, why would they leave that out? You know, that humanizes him.
Because
That's probably the reason,
he's a monster.
right?
Because he's a monster, and that's just what they wanted people. They didn't want people to question.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if certain people had just left everything alone, it might have disappeared into, oblivion. Just like, with the R. Kelly case, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
these people were, what's it called? Not blackmailing him, but, extorting money and stuff like that. And it's funny
Mm-hmm.
because criminals or I don't know, bad criminals, I guess, they just can't keep their mouth shut. They
Right.
eventually end up outing themselves
Hmm.
because they can't shut up.
Right.
And that's what was happening with R. Kelly. And it's the same like kind of period. Like if you just had backed off, maybe your plan would have worked.
Right. And then like with R. Kelly, there has been so much out about him for years that was like laughed off or joked off. But it came, it's been at least a good, I know, I'd say at least 20 years I've been hearing, the different rumors about R. Kelly.
Since Aaliyah. Since
Yeah,
Aaliyah.
since Aaliyah,
But
right?
then
It happened before her
but
too, though. Yeah.
but then again, R. Kelly is more than likely has Asperger's. He was sexually abused as a child.
Right.
He was raped. He was his mental, and again, like other people that we've talked, he's a genius
Absolutely.
when it comes to songwriting and performing. But as a person, he obviously has a hard time interacting with people.
Right.
He's never had a long relationship with a woman besides Drea. And that wasn't even, nobody even knew he was in a relationship with her. I mean, he probably
Right.
just wanted kids.
He
But
just
do you
kinda-
follow that?
Yeah, he kept her, like, I remember because I liked Drea, and I was watching, because it took me a bit to actually watch the R. Kelly thing, not because like
can't
I
even
was a
watch it.
fan. I just, it disgusted me.
Yes.
Because it I didn't even want to watch it, but it's like that one, and then the Neverland. I've to this day I've never seen Leaving Neverland, but it took me a while to watch the R. Kelly one. And when I finally saw it, I saw both parts together. I didn't have to watch where their intermission between the two, I guess the two programs on Lifetime. So I watched it together, and let me tell you, I was totally disgusted. Like, I knew, I guess 20 years ago about, it was a joke about him peeing on young girls or whatever, and he had this tape out. It was just, it wasn't anything.
See, I believe he's innocent, though. I believe that he's been rotting in jail for 2 years, and that these people, Lisa Van Allen, Geronda, all these people, who was it, the hairdresser girl, he spit on me. I mean, these people, I mean, I come from a different age. I'm R. Kelly's age. And it's like, this is not, people call him a pedophile, and that pisses me off. It's like, okay, maybe he's a domestic abuser, and I don't even want to make light of that. If he's, spitting on somebody or demeaning them or something, they're making him out to be something that he is not. Because even with him and Aaliyah, he was 26 and she was 15. But the thing is that she was probably like, okay, that was back in the 90s. She was probably like a lot more mature. Obviously, you can just watch her interviews. She was a very mature, well-spoken young woman. And he was very timid and very quiet. And you can tell that because of his trauma as a child, that he didn't emotionally or mature properly, and he's still.
He's like a Jekyll Hyde kind of thing. I think he, I guess our opinions kind of vary. I'm not one of the, I guess, R. Kelly, fans. I don't like or dislike R. Kelly. As far as his, I like his music or whatever. But I think because the documentary kind of changed my mind. Do I think some of those young girls were served up by their parents? Absolutely. The two that I know that are kind of staying or were staying with him, they were 18 and 19 or whatever. So they're of age.
Right. There were no, after his trial, there were no underaged girls, period. Period.
Hey,
and then you can't,
it's all right if we wrap it up tonight. I gotta get up at 7 in the morning. So if you guys want to stay on, continue, you can. But
no, I just wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I need to get off too, because I need to go to the store. But the thing is that there's never even a sexual relationship proven between the people that they're saying, because more than likely they were his assistants. So I'm gonna leave it at that. There's a great channel to watch for information on that too, and it's called Prima Donna News. Watch her videos about the Savages, about all of them. and you'll have
Oh
a much
yeah,
different view.
yeah. I did
So,
hear like it was like that they had to admit like recently that it was all kind of their part of it was kind of a scam. It was one of the girls, I can't remember who, but I did see that, at least that much of it. So what is the Watts thing you told me to watch? Curious Case of the Watts, is that what you're saying to watch?
yeah, Google
Okay.
that. That's a blog. It's a written blog.
Okay.
And then Prima Donna,
Mhm.
Prima Donna is on YouTube, and she does like a expose like on each person, and she has all facts. It has no emotion in it whatsoever. She wasn't a fan. I was never a fan.
Right.
Like with Chris Watts, I get angry at the injustice.
Yeah.
For these people.
Yeah, because it's
all right,
about
Cooter.
Yeah, Cooter.
All right. Yeah, thank you for coming on, ladies. I really appreciate it. And great conversation tonight.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Cooter.
All right, you too.
Night.
Night.